Turn my phone volume off. I don't want that bitch ringing.
We're on stage.
Yo! Oh shit. My bad. Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? We are live. We've been gone for a week. We took a little week off. We had a lot of stuff going on. We about to hit it up. What do you got to say?
Nothing. Let's just hit this up. NBA All Star break happened. Some other news kind of happened a little bit. Let's hit it.
All right, man. What do you want to get started with?
Oh, let's talk about some news, man. First off, anyone that's watching, listening, please come chime in. Please place your comments, leave comments, subscribe. Let us know what you think. If you ever have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter. Hit up our comment section. Leave comments on any questions that you want us to answer, or anything like that. Um, and please feel free. Like I said, we're privileged to be doing this for you guys, and we just enjoy doing this, talking some sports. So
Yeah,
um,
for
I
sure.
kind of want to talk about Cam Newton, man.
Yeah, let's talk about Cam Newton.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Cam Newton got, I don't know if jump's the word for it, but he got into a little scuffle at a 7-on-7 in Atlanta at one of these 7-on-7 league tournaments. For those that don't know, 7-on-7 has kind of like become the basketball version of AAU select basketball, where these coaches go around and coach these kids at these 7-on-7 tournaments to keep skills sharp and things like that. Um, but during one of these tournaments, Cam Newton, and you can look up the footage on this, Cam Newton got jumped by four people and won the fight without throwing a punch. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can. That's a big dude, man.
He is a big dude, man.
And let's be honest, these 7-on-7 guys are typically they're your skill players, they're your receivers, DBs, and occasional running back and maybe a linebacker, but usually not. Usually they're DBs, wide receiver types, and then the coaches were involved for whatever reason, which I can't even imagine my old ass deciding I want to get into it with Cam Newton and his 6 foot
I
five, 250 pound behind. Like, come on, man. This
I mean, it
dude.
was a. I don't think people realize how big Cam Newton is. And if
I
there
don't
was
think
ever
people
an
know.
incident of
Yeah, yeah,
if, if there was ever an incident of pros versus Joes, that was it. I mean,
yeah. For real, man.
uh,
Like,
like
I have the footage pulled up. Some of the footage pulled up. If you guys want to see it, like,
okay,
you let's see. Let's show it.
all right, go ahead.
Here, we'll replay it here.
See him on the top up there. I mean, it's crazy. Um,
He's kind
one
of
of the
like
biggest things that I go
to
ahead.
his credit, he's restrained himself quite a bit there.
Oh yeah, like I said, he didn't even throw a punch. He has
Yeah,
one guy in a headlock. He's dragging another guy, and then you got a couple other people trying to throw some punches at him. And he's just shrugging them off, and he never loses his hat. The whole situation, man.
can
He
we talk
never
about that
loses his
hat?
hat. I mean,
What is it? Oh Lord, I know Cam has always had a different sense of style or whatever, man, but it seems like it's gone even more extreme. I don't know.
it's like I said, it was just an amazing thing. And if there was ever an incident of pros versus Joes, that was it. To where if you think you can take down an NFL player, this dude is 6'5", 250, going up against other guys that are 6'5", 250 consistently, and it would take these professionals 3 or 4 people to take him down.
Yep.
These other guys that are just sitting here trying to take him, there was even a threat of Cam Newton going to the ground, man. I mean, it wasn't even getting
Nah,
close
dude,
to
no.
getting him down.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That wasn't happening.
What's
I mean,
crazy is, or go ahead.
no, I mean you've played at a fairly high level, higher than most people. you know how big these dudes are, man. Even at the level of college football you played at, like now imagine a dude that is at the top.
Oh,
Like,
most definitely. And
no,
it's crazy
there's
because
no way.
people see me and they think I'm a decent sized guy, and I always feel small because I know what it was like being on a football field with these people.
Yeah,
So I never feel like a big guy in my opinion.
yeah. I'll be honest with you. You know, like going in a bar or something like that. Usually, maybe I don't know, 5% of the population that I even consider a threat. But yeah, when you're on a football field with high level football players, I'm tiny, dude. Tiny. Like I was standing beside a guy the other day in one of the local adult establishments having a beverage, and there was a dude. He was straight up like NFL size left tackle. I mean, he looked like a left tackle. I didn't even bother to talk to him or whatever. I said, "What's up?" But um, that dude, I mean, they just six. He was probably 6'6", 320, pretty easy, and he wasn't fat. Like that's the other thing people think about, like lineman types and stuff. They think those guys are big and fat. They're not. Like even those big lineman types, a lot of times they're 15-20% body fat. You get into like the Aaron Donalds that are below 10% body fat. I mean, these guys are incredible athletes. You are not the same.
No, most definitely. Um, but yeah, I just had to hit on that. I mean, anyone that would ever think of challenging Cam, like I don't agree with everything Cam says, but if I'm in the same room with him, I might consider agreeing with him no matter what. Just for the simple fact I ain't
Right?
gonna deal with that man.
Right, man?
I'm
This
not dealing
dude,
with that
like,
man
yeah, you're right,
whatsoever.
Cam. You're right.
Now, something I did want to comment on with this is you saw how Cam Newton handled himself in a brawl,
Hmm.
basically. You
Hmm.
saw that. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the footage of Dak Prescott in a brawl.
Yeah. Okay. At the beach. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
At the beach, the
We
Panama City beach.
we going way back. Yeah.
We're going way
Yeah.
back. But my point is, I can't even disagree with Cam Newton anymore as far as a game changer and a game manager because the way Dak handled himself, he handled himself like a game manager in that fight.
You know, during I think it was during Super Bowl media time, like Cam had a chance to really kind of expand and kind of argue with a couple people about the point he was trying to make with the game manager versus game changer, and he added some context to his thoughts, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and it made the conversation make more sense to me because I don't necessarily agree with Cam about who he's calling game managers, but he kind of includes Tom Brady in that prototype or that build. So I kind of understand where he's coming from. It's not a guy that's going to take over athletically and just change the game athletically. It's a guy that is doing it with this up here and maybe isn't necessarily even the most gifted quarterback athletically, but he's smart and makes the right plays and makes good throws and knows what he can do. So I get it. Like I'm not going to use Cam's labels because I still don't necessarily agree with him, but I understand where he's come from.
Oh no, I get it too. Um, my personal belief is most quarterbacks are game managers
Yeah,
because they're managing the game how it needs to be managed. In my opinion, most
right.
quarterbacks are game managers.
Hmm.
Um, I guess you could say the game changers are the ones that can, when the way the coach wants the game managed breaks down, game changers are the ones that can actually make the plays to do the little bit extra.
Well, and then like that's my problem with that is like how do you get into who is who? Because if you look at a guy like Alex Smith, most of his career was always considered a game manager, but he had some athletic ability, and if he decided to run, he,
Mm-hmm.
he could change games. He just didn't. So I mean, do you label him a game manager because he didn't or because he can't? That's where
Yeah,
I kind of get confused on that with Cam is like, all right, well, Alex Smith, pretty gifted runner, could do a lot of things. Not the most talented arm, but he could get it out there. It's like I don't know. He wasn't my kind of quarterback. I hated the Alex Smith years for the Chiefs, but as a guy and everything, I liked him. But yeah, game manager, I think because what he did, not because what he couldn't do.
No, I definitely get that with
Dak's
that.
kind of the same
But
way, man. Like he can move.
it's not. I mean, we'll have our breakdown about the Dallas Cowboys and my feelings on Dak and stuff. It's not that Dak can't make plays. Dak just can't make the plays when you really need him to make the plays. Is my issue with Dak.
Yeah, it's mental. Yeah, we've talked about that
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, it's more of a mental. Seems like it feels like more of a mental hurdle that he needs to get over
Yep,
somewhere along the way.
yep, yep. I'm with
It's
you
got
on that one,
nothing on
man.
him. Yep. What else happened this week? Eric Bieniemy signed with UCLA. Went from the Washington Commanders, going to be offensive coordinator with the UCLA Bruins. Think that's a good move for him, or is it just kind of a I got to get something to stay involved type move with him?
Man, I I feel for him. I do. Um, I guess the short answer is I think it's a good move. It may also be the only move. I think the NFL has kind of showed a lack of interest in him for whatever reason. I've heard reasons why. I was a little surprised that he didn't end up back with the Chiefs in some capacity because they brought him in when we played against Baltimore and kind of had him talk to the guys or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think he's kind of an old school coach, and I think that rubs guys the wrong way. I think that's his biggest issue. I mean, you can look no further than like LaShawn McCoy and a couple other guys like that just like really couldn't stand him, and then that whole LaShawn McCoy thing is continuing on. I mean, LaShawn McCoy said something about it recently, and one of the Chiefs players, I forget who it was like, "Really, Brody? Like you're still mad at him because he told you to tuck the damn ball away?" Which was telling to me that he probably treats every player the same way. Honestly, is probably what it is, and he doesn't really care if you're a superstar or what you've done in the league or whatever. If you're swinging that ball out like LaShawn McCoy does or holding it like a loaf of bread, he's going to tell you about it, and that rightfully so, man. Like I don't see the problem there.
No, that's what I mean. That's what needs to be done. That's what should be done. Um,
Yeah,
Job's to coach him, not just to let him get by with some of the stuff that he gets by with, possibly. But McCoy had his running style and probably came at us like, "Why are you criticizing me? I'm
yeah,
wasn't he running back of the 2000s or 2010s? I can't remember which section it was. He was
yeah.
one
It
of the
was
top
probably
running backs of that era.
2010s. Yeah, probably
Yeah,
2010s.
2010s. Yeah, for
Yeah,
McCoy. Um, but yeah, I mean, he was a good back. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is fully with Eric Bieniemy. I mean, even when he went to the Commanders, there was some stuff that kind of popped up right when he got there, and Rivera kind of had to kind of deflect it a little bit with him. So not fully sure what happened there. Um, I think he got the most he could out of that offense. He didn't really care about trying to run the ball. I will say that. He was he was slinging it. Maybe it was because he didn't feel like they had a good enough running game. Could have
yeah.
been part of it.
It's that offensive
Commanders fell
line, I
behind a
think.
lot. Yeah, Commanders fell behind a lot in a lot of games, so maybe he was just slinging it with that. Uh, Sam Howell was the top leader in yardage at one point this year. So I mean, I don't know. He fell
He
apart at the end of the
finished pretty
year.
high too.
Yeah, I mean, Howell fell apart toward the end of the year through 23 interceptions and stuff like that. Dan Quinn was quick to not really want him staying in Washington. So don't know what
I
fully
mean,
happened there, but
I get it. Like, hey, new coach, new everything. I would want my own guy, for sure. If I had a chance, I don't want to. I want to go get the guy that I want and not the guy that I think is going to make a difference for me and the team. But at the same time, I just I feel like he can. I feel like he can play at this level. I really do. I don't know. He wasn't that bad, man. Like the team around him is pretty terrible.
yeah, I didn't think he was that bad. Um, but the way it's going to be seeming coming up for him is he's going to be destined to be a backup possibly. But we'll see what happens coming up in the future for that squad.
I'm pulling for Sam Howell. I don't have anything against him, man. Like I think that's a tough thing to do. You know, he was a highly rated quarterback coming out, and sometimes it just sucks, and the situation sucks, and nothing around you is right, and you know maybe you don't get along with the coaches, maybe you've had a couple different systems, and uh, then everything's your fault as the quarterback. So I feel for those guys in that way, man. Like that has to get old, being the
Yep, a lot of
scapegoat for
NFL is
everything.
getting a lot of NFL is getting put in the right system that fits you as a player sometimes.
Yeah, I mean he had 3,900, 3,945 yards, 21 touchdowns, and like you alluded to, he had the 21 picks. But how much of that was another brand new system for him? I mean, Bieniemy was only there 1 year, yeah.
Yeah, only there for 1 year.
So I don't know. To me, that's not terrible. It could be a heck of a lot worse. I mean, the 21 picks, that's pretty bad. I get it. It led the league in picks. I understand. But I don't. You could be a lot worse, in my opinion.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Could do a lot worse than that guy. What else happened, man?
Um.
Anything else happened?
Well, the salary cap. I guess we could talk about that.
Oh yeah,
The
NFL
it.
salary cap. In case you guys didn't hear, went up $30 million, more than expected. So teams are gonna have a little bit more wiggle room to work with
Mhm.
some of the things that they're doing. Um, for me as a Cowboys fan, it's good news. It at least gives them a little bit more room to try to bring in and entice some free agents to come in a little bit more. For the Chiefs, that just increases what you guys got to work with because you guys were already under the cap, if I remember right, going into
We're
next
good.
year.
We're sitting for. I mean, if you consider what we do and everything, like being number 17 in the league in cap space is pretty impressive. But we got a lot of guys to resign. I mean, some of these teams you look at, I don't even know how they operate on a day to day basis. If you look at like the Bills are in salary cap hell, they're the worst situation in the whole league. I don't know what they're going to do. I read an article earlier today that was saying how much this whole salary cap increase. And to be clear, the salary cap increases every year, but the
Yeah,
projections were something around 17, 18 million of an increase, and it turned out to be 30. So it was like a significant increase. Um, and the article was saying how much that was going to help the Bills, and that we can probably stop talking about Diggs and Von Miller leaving the Bills, but I just don't see how. They're still 37 million over the cap. I was
yeah. I don't
messing
think.
with it. I was messing with it earlier on the cap calculator. Like, I don't see a way that you get under the cap and keep Diggs and keep Miller.
Yeah, it's all in restructures. Um, the Saints were. I don't know where the Saints sit currently. Can you look up the Saints for me really quick?
Yeah, they're number two with
Because,
their 29.6 million or 20.
mhm.
Excuse me, 29.2 million over.
but I know they're going to restructure Derek Carr's contract to kind of get them almost just about under the cap again. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's all about just restructuring, extending some bonuses and things like that
there's six
to get
teams,
under the cap.
no, seven teams that are over the cap,
Cowboys should be
which
one of them.
the Cowboys are barely over at three. I mean, that's a little bit less of a panic situation than some of these other teams. And to be clear, like I get it, the salary cap is fake, but that also depends on how good your salary cap guy is and how good your GM is. And the Chiefs recently lost our salary cap guy to another team to go be a GM. So I'm a little worried about who's stepping up for him and what his level of knowledge is. But that salary cap guy is critical for teams. And I just see some of these teams like the Bills, the Saints, the Dolphins, the Chargers. Broncos will be okay because they're gonna get rid of Russ, so that'll be a
So
huge.
I know we're not going to go into the AFC at all today, not the
Yeah,
plan anyway. But
yeah.
so I heard something interesting about Russell Wilson's contract.
Yes.
So he is guaranteed. The Broncos have to pay him $39 million this year. That is guaranteed for what they have to pay him.
Okay.
Any team that signs him, if they sign him, let's say a team signs Russ to $20 million, then the Broncos only have to pay $19 million of that. So it doesn't mean Russ has to go out of his way to do any favors for any team that signs him. They could basically sign him to a minimum contract, the league minimum contract, and the Broncos are on the hook for the rest of that money. Now, my question
Oh,
to you is Russell Wilson at the age of 36, if you are him, would you sit out the year and make your 39 million, or would you come back and play?
I I guess my question would be, do you want to continue playing? And it sounds like he does because he said there's some statement floating around out there that he wants to win 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I saw that. I said his fire's burning more than ever.
So first of all, you're saying that you're going to play another 5 years, which okay, Russ, your whole game is a little bit predicated on your ability to escape and move around. Like in my opinion, he's a smart quarterback and everything like that. I'm not saying anything like that, but you're 36 years old, so you're saying you're going to play till you're 41, probably 42, for to make that 5 years. So no, I don't think you can take a year off. I just don't see how. I mean, I get it. That would probably be good for your body, and you can sit there and rack up $39 million for doing nothing and just kind of play the game and as far as see where you want to go and all that is what I mean. But yeah, so I guess trading him is the way to go from what I'm looking at over the cap. Trading him is the way to go, and that's what they probably will do because that
But if you're a
changes.
team, I wouldn't
Go
trade
ahead.
for him. If I was just saying, if I was a team, I wouldn't trade for
He has some value. Like, do you
well, okay,
disagree?
here's the deal. He has value, but if the Broncos don't cut him by March 23rd, his 2025 contract is guaranteed.
Yeah, but I if I'm the Broncos, I guess because of the difference in cutting him versus trading him as far as salary cap wise goes, I don't care if it's a seventh round pick. I don't care. I'd rather trade him, and I think that's a pretty easy conversation to have with a team that wants him. Is to say, hey, number one, I can guarantee he goes to you. And number two, it can be a cheap trade, man. I just need to trade him for salary cap reasons. I think that's a pretty easy negotiation.
No, it should be, but just never know how teams are going to react to it. That's all I'm saying. Just
Yeah, I feel you though, because I think what you're saying is, hey, why not just wait him out and say, guys, you can't keep him.
exactly.
Yeah,
And no matter what, even if you don't trade for him, you technically only have to give him a league minimum contract because he's already going to get $39 million next year. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
And his 2025 isn't guaranteed to come along with you.
yeah. What's up, Marlon? Need the Bucks to
What's going
re-sign
on?
Evans and Mayfield. Too good a chemistry. So yeah, I know kind of the thoughts all year from Chiefs Kingdom was we wanted Mike Evans. I got a little warmed up to that. I'm not too big into 30-year-old players or whatever, but Mike played his ass off. So I agree with you, Marlon. They should definitely be working to keep Mike and Mayfield. I think that's a good move for the Bucks. What do you think?
Oh, most definitely. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, though. I personally think Mike Evans is done in Tampa. I think he wants to be done in Tampa. And if they don't come with him with the money he wants, I don't think he's coming back. Just my opinion with it. Watching his body language all year long, he'd catch a touchdown, just kind of throw the ball in the crowd, not even really celebrate with his teammates or anything like that. Um, I think he wants out.
They got
Not saying
48
he's
million.
100% going to leave, but
Get they got 48 million in space. They could tag him.
I don't think they want to tag him, though. I mean, they can. I don't think they want to, but
Yeah, Marlon, what have you heard, man? I thought I saw something about a rumor about they were considering tagging him. I don't know. I don't tap into the Bucks too much, and to be completely honest, I'm not one of the Chiefs fans that's like super excited about signing Mike Evans. But um, yeah, I would tag him, dude, if I had to. But you don't think Baker's play changed his mind a little bit? Like Baker played well, man.
it's not about Baker's play changing his mind. I think it's more of the respect of what Tampa Bay's done to him and not pay him last year.
Yeah, yeah, I got
That's
you on
my
that.
that's my thought process with him. It's more
Yeah,
of you guys made me play my final year of my deal. I've already proven myself to you guys.
his
So
whole career.
yes,
I mean, have
that's
you
where I
ever
feel like
looked at
Mike Evans
Mike Evans' numbers for his career? I mean, the dude is he's a phenomenal player. He really is. He's a
oh, he
phenomenal
is. There's
player.
no. I mean, he got our boy Johnny Manziel drafted in the first round. To be really honest.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just don't see. Let me pull up his some of his stats real quick. First of all, 6'1", 231 pounds. Still probably running somewhere around that 4.5. It doesn't look to me like he slowed down really. Um,
No, not too much.
let me see
So
some of
Marlon put,
these.
I've heard Evans more likely gone, but possible. Says he believes the Bucks are going to pay Mayfield first.
And I think that's the right thing to do, right? Wouldn't you pay Baker first?
I'd sign him to a. I'd sign him to a deal, kind of what Seattle signed Geno Smith to. Is where I'm
Yeah,
thinking I try to go with Baker.
yeah, I agree with that. Um, Baker. I
2 or
mean,
3 year deal, probably a 3 year deal. I think it was.
what sucks for Baker, man, is like the dude has never really done anything wrong. He's never done anything but play well. He's done nothing but take the crappy Browns to the playoffs and win a game. Like, I feel for the guy, dude. I really do. Like, I don't understand why he bounces around. It's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I don't understand why Cleveland threw him to the curve. That's
I
that
don't.
that one threw me for a loop. I don't know why they threw him to the curve the way they did. Granted, you were getting Watson or you were putting the bid in for Watson, but it wasn't even locked up when they talked about sending Baker out. So I didn't get that move.
10 years in the NFL for Mike Evans. Every single season over 1,000 yards. 5 seasons above double-digit touchdowns. Like just phenomenal. And only 3 fumbles in his whole career.
Wow.
The guy over 100 targets every single season, which is kind of, watching him play this year was kind of why I warmed up a little bit to the idea of him coming to the Chiefs. And trust me, if he does, I'm not going to be mad about it unless we got to give up Chris Jones. Like, I think that's a priority for us, but I don't want to get into too much of the Chiefs and AFC stuff. We'll get to that later.
All right. Hey, since we're on the NFC, since we've been talking about the Bucks, hey, why don't we just dive into the NFC South a little bit, if you're
Yeah,
good with
let's do
that?
that.
Kind of go into
I
our
like
talk.
that.
Yeah, we're on the Bucks right now, so let's go ahead and let's start off with Tampa Bay. Marlon's on; he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Let's go ahead and just start off with that, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Buccaneers went to the playoffs, of course, got to the division round, played Detroit very tough, lost to them last second and not a last second interception, but Mayfield had a chance to drive them down and get the game tied to try to send that game into overtime. Um, got some big free agents that they're going to be losing or possibly losing. Evans got their cornerback Ryan Jensen, possibly out there. Devin White is also a free agent for them. Levante
Jansen
David's
is
going to
a
be a free
center.
agent for them. What's that?
Ryan Jansen's a center, isn't he?
Yeah, the center. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Yep, read it wrong. But Devin White, Levante David, Baker Mayfield, they're gonna have some answers. They're gonna have some holes to fill if they want to keep this thing kind of going in the right direction for
Yeah,
them.
Ryan Jansen is a big one for them. I like probably one of the only places you'll hear people talk about how important a center is, but that's one of the best centers in the league. Been that way for a while. Big time player for them, and he's aging and obviously has the injury concerns. So I don't know if you pay to keep an aging center or you try to go get a guy in the draft. There's a pretty good one out of Oregon coming up. But I don't know if they'll be able to. He could go right in that range where Tampa sits. So that's a thought.
Um,
Like, what do you do? Do you replace some of those guys? Devin White? Yeah.
Antonio Winfield Jr., their safety, is also a free agent coming into this
Is he really?
offseason as well. Yes,
He,
he's a free agent as well.
whew.
So yeah, so they got some they got some things they're gonna have to do.
Yeah, so you're right, man. Marlon on here saying Devin White's gone, but he's not sad about that. Yeah, I know, a lot of people, especially people from the outside looking in, really love Devin White because of his athletic ability at the linebacker position. The dude runs all over the place and super fast for a linebacker. I think he was one of those 4.4 speed linebackers that came out a couple years ago. Might even have been down like a 4.39 or something. But the dude super fast and um, yeah, the other kid, KJ brought outplayed him and took his job, so he's gonna be gone. Just lots and lots of that list is a long list of guys that are gonna be gone.
Oh, they got a lot of holes to fill. One of the biggest needs Tampa Bay really has a need for is to find themselves a running back. If you're Tampa, do you try to make an offer to one of the big free agent backs coming out? I'm hearing Saquon and Josh Jacobs are probably not going to get tagged this offseason.
Saquon's due then? Is he coming to free agency?
Yep, Saquon's a free agent. Josh Jacobs a free agent. Derrick Henry's a free agent. All those guys are free agents coming out.
Marlon says that he's talking about Devin White. I just address this real quick. Devin White over pursues is what he means. He over pursues a lot is his issue. Um, that's you correct me. You're the defensive guy, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's a little bit of coaching there.
Yeah, that's just over
Near hip,
pursuits.
near hip.
Yeah, it's the near hip thing. I'll never get mad at someone that hustles, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, you kind of just hope he makes more plays than the guy's going to miss at times. If he's throwing off your whole defense because he's doing something completely out of character, something wrong, I mean that's something you got to address. But I guess
but
for
that
me,
would you agree though that that is a very common thing for a fast linebacker to be doing?
yeah, that's what, and so that's I guess that's what I mean by it. It's you want me to tell him to slow down? You know what I mean? I'm
Right,
gonna hope he's if it's what he's good at. I'm gonna hope he makes more plays than he doesn't. If he's
right.
especially if he separates himself from the next guy in line. Maybe
Yep.
I call some schemes that kind of holds him back a little bit, in my opinion, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But
Or you
I
blitz
can't
him,
tell him to slow down.
or you blitz him off the edge.
Yep.
Bucks need a stronger tight end room. Kate Otten is okay, but not a game changer. There's a few tight ends available, man, in the draft, Marlon. If you haven't paid attention to some of the guys that are out there, Theo Johnson is one that I really like. He's a big 6'6" type tight end. I got a guy that I really like that's kind of more of a Kyle Juszczyk H back type of dude, and Ben Sennett that can play all over the place. Brock Bowers is not the only tight end in this draft for sure. There's a couple guys that I think will be successful. There's the dude AJ Barner out of Michigan that's pretty okay. That you could get him late, and he might be something depending on your system. He's not one of my favorites, but I know a lot of guys that do like him, so I brought him up. There's a lot of guys available out there for Marlon. I don't think you need to go shopping for tight ends in free agency.
No, I don't think it's. I'm always bigger on just kind of growing tight ends, seeing where they go. Usually takes a tight end a couple years to get adjusted to the NFL level a little bit. Usually,
I
Laporta's
agree.
an exception, most definitely in Detroit.
That dude's a
And a lot of these
beast.
tight ends coming out are actually exceptions. Who else did you say? I'm sorry.
No, I just said that dude's a beast. I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah, that dude is an absolute beast. Um, but yeah, for Tampa Bay, you have to re-sign Baker Mayfield. I say that's priority number one for Tampa. If Evans leaves, it's gonna suck. But Tampa's decent at wide receiver. Evans is a game changer for them, of course. And I think with the way this draft is kind of set up, there are some playmakers in the draft that you could possibly go get as well, um,
Yep.
if you're Tampa.
Just real
So
quick, I'll give a couple more names for you to look up and kind of, if you want to watch some of their highlights or whatever, Marlon, and see what you think. Sanders is a guy, tight end out of Texas. He's a little bit smaller than you normally like, but he's kind of a move tight end. Look him up. Cade Stover's kind of the same thing out of Ohio State. And then I already said Theo Johnson. And then you're getting into like Jared Wiley out of TCU. And then a guy that I really like that I'm quite sure that any team that wants him can get him. He'll probably be a seventh round pick, but just kind of keep an eye on a guy named Brevin Spanford. I saw him last year at Minnesota when I went up to Minnesota for their spring training. And he's a dude, man. He's also a leader. So,
There you go.
who else? Who's next?
We got the New Orleans Saints.
All right, the Saints. They're in cap hell, as we already discussed.
Yes, they very much so are in Cap Hill. Um, how did you feel about this past Saints season? Overachieved, underachieved? What do you think of them?
I think they underachieved. I think they had some bumps in the road, and some guys weren't getting along with Derek Carr. It sounded like. I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect them to make a bunch of noise this year because I knew they were kind of resetting things. But you know, it is what it is. Like I
Yep.
think they could have done better, but it wasn't like they completely surprised me with their season. Did they surprise you?
I picked them to win that division. I mean, they were in the running, and they were in the running toward the end, to the base of the final week of the season, so they were close there. I thought they'd be a little bit better. I thought their defense would kind of carry them through to get to that level. I will say I was definitely disappointed in Derek Carr. I really don't know what the Saints' offensive identity was this year. It just seems so sporadic at times when I watched them play a little bit. I don't know what they were really ever trying to really accomplish on offense. I mean, every offense is trying to score, but they never established anything. If that makes any sense.
So explain to me this, because like I have Raiders friends and all them guys that just absolutely hate Derek Carr. What's to be disappointed about, man? Like 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He takes care of the football.
He does, but I don't ever look at final stats for a player
Yeah,
just because the simple fact is, okay, how did he play in the games they lost? Is kind of what I look for. Did
I
he
mean,
get those stats when they're? I guess I don't give credit for a firefighter putting out a fire when you're the cause of the fire. You know what I mean?
you really think he's causing the fire, man?
He didn't make enough plays when plays were needed to be made. From the
What's
time
around him?
I didn't go in depth and watch the Saints a ton, but the games I saw, and
What's
he had a
around
lot
him?
of injuries this year. He's tough. He's very tough. I give him that.
Yeah,
Very very tough player. Maybe it was just the weapons that they had a lack of. I mean, Michael Thomas was out for majority of the year again.
yeah, the dude's hurt
Um,
all the time.
yeah, he's a free agent. I think he's someone that they just need to let walk. Not even worry about re-signing that dude. Um,
I mean,
yeah, that's my biggest
Marlon
thing with
says not
Carr,
known for
man.
making clutch plays. Seems always to come up short. Yeah, for sure. But Olave. I mean, he's got Olave, and Olave's great. Kamara was out some of the season too, right?
Yep, correct. He was out some of the season,
Even
so
Olave got hurt for a couple games, didn't he?
he did. They had Jimmy Graham back at tight end. He
Jimmy
didn't make an
Graham,
impact for him.
bro.
Yeah,
We're talking about Jimmy Graham right now. Come on.
I'm just telling you. I'm just saying, man. That's who they had
This
at
dude
tight end.
goes out and throws for 3,800 yards and 25 touchdowns, only 8 picks with a mash unit. And like everybody's like, whoa, he's just not very clutch.
I'm just saying, man. The games I saw when I watched him play, he never he never struck fear in anything that I ever watched that dude do, man. It was sooner or later he's going to make the mistake to where he's going to give the game away, or he's not going to make the play that you need him to make from the games that I watched. And I'm not
I
saying the
just
Saints need to move on from him or
I
anything
just
like
look
that.
at him like this, like from a Chiefs perspective, as a Chiefs fan, watching him all the time in the division, playing him as much as we played him. I was happy when he left the Raiders, man. I told all my Raiders buddies, I'm like, oh, well, let me get this straight. You're going to get rid of Derek Carr for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Now
Okay.
I can agree with I agree with you there. I'd take Carr over Garoppolo any day of the week.
Like, I just love to watch the Raiders Raider, man.
I agree with you there. That's not. I'm not going to go that far to say that they should have kept, uh, or they should have not kept Derek Carr.
They did that
But I
dude
don't know,
dirty
man.
too with his contract and everything. The way they did it. I know we're not talking about the AFC or the Raiders, but I just feel bad for Derek. Like I kind of like the guy to be completely honest. Um, don't get me wrong. Like I get it. He's not the dude, and probably not going to be the dude in New Orleans, but he's going to be a bridge player for you, and probably have a hand to play in raising your young quarterback that you go get eventually.
But yeah, man, with the Saints being in cap hell the way they are, free agency is really not going to be an option for them. I mean, I think we can both agree with
No,
that as far as them
no.
trying to make a big splash. They're going to have to nail whoever they draft, which, if I'm the Saints, I probably take best available if I'm the Saints in that type of situation. Best available player that fits your biggest need at that point, whether it be a defensive lineman, a defensive back, even if it's another wide receiver. I'm down for the Saints taking that if they have to
Yeah, yeah.
at
I
that
think you
point.
probably have to take another wide receiver at some point in this draft because it's a wide receiver heavy draft, and you're going to be saying goodbye to Michael Thomas. So you probably need another guy to pair with Olave or at least a tight end. I would probably pick a wide receiver and a tight end, and give your offense a chance. Alvin Kamara's got a little bit more tread left on the tires yet, so but you probably could think about taking a late running back.
Yeah, running. It's not a real deep running back draft, so but
I like
hey,
some
get
guys.
one
There's
when you
some
can.
legacy guys in this draft that I really like. I think some of the late guys will surprise us.
They
But they're
late
set
the
to
late guys
pick.
might.
I think they're set to pick 14th in this draft. So they got a decent draft pick, man. They could get a shot at. I think you're right. I think take whatever's best sitting there at 14.
Yeah, and if you get a deal that lands you some big time picks or something like that, I'd take the deal if I'm
Trade
the
out.
Saints because
Yep.
they're gonna have to trade out and build this team up through the draft until they can get out of the cap salary cap situation that they're sitting in.
And later
Um,
on, as things go on, and we got some time leading up to the draft and all that, we'll do some mock drafts and play some games like that to kind of show what me and you might do in that situation. So that'll be fun. What else do the
Marlon brought up
Saints
the
need?
Falcons. Or what else? The Saints, like I said, Saints just need best available, man.
Yeah.
Um,
And like you said, not a lot to talk about because they can't go hire anybody in free agency.
yeah, and that's just kind of where we're at with the Saints.
Yeah.
Marlon brought up the Falcons, so let's go ahead and talk about the Falcons since they're in the AFC NFC South.
Yep. Falcons are a quarterback away from the playoffs. Offensive talent is scary. Falcons D was better this year. Curious how they would look with Fields or Cousins at quarterback. What do you think?
They got Raheem Morris as a new head coach. I did not see who they brought in as the offensive coordinator. Did you happen to see that at all?
I did not. If I did, I've forgotten. So I
Okay.
can tell you if you want to look that up, I will go look
Yeah.
at their salary cap situation so we can talk about that.
Like, I
They
think
have
we can both agree that Ritter is not the answer.
they're $41.9 million over or under the cap, so they got money to play with. Desmond Ritter, you know, probably not the answer, but I just get a little frustrated with guys not getting very much time to develop.
So
Back in the
their
day,
offensive
it was
coordinator
what?
is
Go
their
ahead.
offensive coordinator is Zach Robinson. They brought him over from the Rams.
Oh, okay. Another
37-year-old former quarterback.
another
Um,
McVay
yep, another McVay
disciple.
kind of disciple. So they're bringing him in. I mean, the Falcons. The biggest thing that I had with the Falcons last year was the fact that you draft Bijan Robinson at 8 and you don't even use a guy.
Yeah,
Just didn't make any sense whatsoever for what they did.
yeah, yeah, man. And I love Bijan Robinson. I know you do too.
Oh, we we were at that draft together, and you know my feelings about when the Falcons took Bijan.
Yep. I mean, he had 4.6 yards of carry. I know he came on a little bit at the end of the year. 214 carries, 976 yards, only four touchdowns. He did have 58 receptions. That's something that's kind of underplayed with
Yes.
him. Definitely one of those backs that can make a difference in the passing game, and certainly did. So you have to pay attention to that. But yeah, man, I agree. They could have used him more. Out of those 58 receptions, 487 yards through the air, and another four touchdowns. He did have four fumbles. He put the ball on the ground a few times.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot for a running back in a season. Can't have that definitely. But I mean, if you're the Falcons, your first priority has to be to go get a quarterback. Would you want Cousins or would you trade for Fields,
Can I say
or would
neither?
you go after Russell Wilson?
I mean, I guess I just think about it. I'm trying to think about it from everybody's perspective. I think the Bears are probably done with Fields, but I don't think they should be. So if the Bears are done with Fields, yes, I would go get Fields if I had the choice of those three quarterbacks. That's my guy. Kirk Cousins is actually a top 10 quarterback. I mean, the dude's phenomenal. I just like when is he going to stop? I don't know. I'd want a guy like Fields that has some upside. I mean, you could potentially turn him into your franchise quarterback. Um, the other question, I guess, is are they done with Pitts? Because it seems like they are.
We'll see with the new OC though. New OC is going to probably give him a shot. But I mean, if you get a great offer for Pitts, you send him. I get rid of him.
Shit, he ain't worth anything
Take the
right
draft
now.
picks.
Like, I don't even know if you could get more than a third or fourth round pick for the guy.
True, but he kind of the way his career has gone kind of reminds me of David Njoku in Cleveland,
Yep.
to where got off to a really came in really hyped, looking really good coming out of the draft. Got off to a slow start to his career, and now looking at Njoku making the Pro Bowl, probably considered a top tight end because he has the
Yeah.
skills and everything. So if you
Yeah.
put Pitts with the right system and a quarterback that's going to look his way,
I just think
um,
it's damn near tight end abuse what they've done to that guy because he has amazing potential and physical ability. It's like, just what are you doing? Why are you not drawing up plays specifically to use that guy?
I mean, maybe they did, and Ritter was just that bad, man.
It's possible, I suppose. I just and then with the quarterback situation, I always just think like, are you using the guy the way you want to use a quarterback, or are you using the guy that the way is best for him? And Ritter has legs, and I just don't see him doing enough stuff with his legs. I don't see him running bash and stuff like that like they probably should.
He does, but Ritter himself, I would say, probably cost the Falcons 4 games just with red zone interceptions.
Yeah,
There's 4 games that I can remember he threw interceptions in the red zone. And as a coach, you try to put it in his hands, let him do some things. You're hoping at least if he doesn't see it, he'll run, but the guy forced throws and things. And
and it
I
just
think it's,
that's
it's
where I'm
definitely
getting
kind of
at
moving
though.
on.
Are they on the true progression type stuff? Are they forcing him to read true progression, or are they giving him some easier stuff? Like, there's nothing wrong. I mean, half the league runs easier stuff than true progression. It's not like every quarterback is dropping back running true progression every single play anymore. It's not 1996, you know.
That is true. Very true.
I just don't understand why you don't use a guy to his strengths. It frustrates me a little bit as an offensive guy. I don't know. I feel weird sticking up for quarterbacks as much as I have today, but good grief. I just feel like they're not always being utilized to their fullest potential, in my opinion.
That's where it kind of goes into the thing where I say you got to put him in the right system a little bit. That's why I say every
Yes,
quarterback's a system quarterback. So you
every
got to put him in the
quarterback
right
is a
system.
system quarterback, yes. And the
Yep.
coaches should adjust to their players, not the other way around, in my
Correct.
opinion.
All right. Anything else you want to touch on with the Falcons? I know we're just kind of doing some quick briefs on the teams.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love to see the Falcons, make that a little bit more competitive. They have a lot of young talent, especially on that offense. They have a lot of young talent on that offense. They got to do something, man. That's all I got.
No, most definitely. Raheem Morris's second chance as a head coach. I'm happy he gets another opportunity for him. I'm
Well, does
surprised they
that worry
didn't go.
you that you got another defensive coach in there with a bunch of young offensive players?
Not if you bring in the right offensive guy, but the thing that has to be the reason why I heard teams try to shy away from hiring a defensive coach is because if the offense ends up shining, you're always going to be replacing your offensive coordinator consistently
True.
because teams are looking to hire an offensive guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the Chiefs situation. They got a great defensive coordinator. No one's banging down Spagnolio's door right now
He's
to get
also
him
old.
hired. He is older, but still, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's doing his thing.
I
Most
love
teams
it,
want
man.
to get offensive coordinator as a coach.
I don't understand how they keep letting us keep all our coaches. I don't get it. It's like, sweet.
People want to try to beat you guys at your best. They don't want no excuses.
I suppose. That's not what I see on the internet. All I see is it's fixed, it's rigged, it's the refs, it's oh my god, this and that and the other thing, my butthole hurt and this and that. It's like, get off of it, man. So
All right.
Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, what's there to say about the Panthers, man? They don't have a first round draft pick. Traded that to the Bears.
Yep.
Um, New head
Bryce
coach.
Young is garbage. Here's a quarterback I won't defend. I can't stand the kid. Wait a minute. Let me correct it. I like him as a person. He's actually a great kid. Can't can't stand him as a quarterback.
I mean, let's wait and just see what he gets when he gets a good stable system. Let's see what happens with that.
Nope. He's trash. Mark my words. You guys can clip this, bring it back in 4 years if he's freaking actually doing something. That's how confident I am that he won't be. He is Garbaggio. I don't know why they picked him. CJ was clearly the best quarterback in that league or in that draft. It wasn't even close. They fell in love with a kid that has a big brain. That's what they did. And like big brains are great, but yes, you have to actually play football too.
Yeah, I don't know how they passed on C.J. Stroud, especially after seeing what C.J. Stroud did to the Georgia Bulldogs in that playoff game. Um, I could get it if you had some questions initially, but after you watched that game, there's no way you could pass on C.J. Stroud at that point.
The whole time watching CJ was like, this kid has to be the number one overall pick. And I actually lost a bet that I'm still a little perturbed about because I bet that CJ would be the number one overall pick. And what I should have bet was that CJ was the best quarterback in the draft because I would have won pretty easily. The Panthers, because their stupidity, made me lose that bet. So screw the Panthers.
Yeah. So the Panthers hired Dave Canellis as their new head coach, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Any chance you think he can do that with Bryce Young?
No, I think they have a terrible ownership group. Like the main owner there is a mess. They have a leadership problem in that place. I don't think anybody that goes there is going to have a good time. I mean, like Matt Rule didn't really get any real chances. Not that, I mean, I've met Matt Rule a few times, so have you. But, he's a good guy, but he's not like my favorite coach or anything. But I feel like he could have had more of a chance there. And we've met a lot of the guys that were there at Carolina with him, and they're good coaches. And they didn't get a chance at all. And then you get rid of McCaffrey. Are you kidding me? Trade McCaffrey away for a ham sandwich. Like that organization is a trash can. It's a dumpster fire, man. And Brian Burns is gone. I think they're gonna let him go, right?
Brian Burns. Sorry, escaping my mind real quick.
He's an edge player. He's a big time. I mean, he's probably their best player left on the roster. Is what I'm getting at, and seems like he's probably going to hit free agency. Uh, I don't see them succeeding at any time. I know I've kind of ripped the Panthers here, but I feel like they deserve it, and I feel like their owner deserves it. I feel like he's a piece of trash. This guy's over here dumping drinks on fans. I mean,
Oh yeah, I remember that. I saw that video, man.
God, dude, like No, I'm sorry. Like, it doesn't matter even if they did hire good coaches. I just don't think they'll have any success. I think the owner is way too involved. I think that's why they picked Bryce Young. And if he's going to continue to be involved like that, you're just not going to see any success. And I think here's my wild prediction. I think that owner's going to end up getting himself in some trouble in the next few years, and they're going to end up forcing him to sell the team.
Could be something that happens.
Yeah.
Could be.
I don't see
I'm
their
not going to go
path to
that
being
far because
good.
it's tough to get an owner out, but could be something that happens to him. I mean, not much else to say really about Carolina. No first round draft pick. If you're a free agent, you're probably not wanting to go there unless they just blow you away with the money that they're going to be offering. They're going to have to overpay for any free agents that they possibly bring in
Well,
my
yeah, and
opinion, with
there's
that.
not even any great tax breaks there or anything like that that I know of. And then they do have 42 million in cap room, which is nice. So they very well could keep Brian Burns, but that probably depends on Brian's desire to be there. Which, if I was him, I would not want to be there. I would want to go make my money on the open market. So they could tag him, obviously, with the amount of money that they have. But I don't know. Is Jeremy Chin still there?
Jeremy Chin, seeing if he's listed as one of their free agents really quick. I do not. Nope, he's a free agent. Free agent safety for him.
Yeah. See, I
So he will
mean,
be a free agent as well.
a lot of those guys that I like on the Panthers, and I really like Jeremy Chin. I don't know that they'll still be there, so they're almost in a worse situation than they were last year. I don't know how you feel about that.
Um, I think what they got coming in is going to give them a little bit of hope, hopefully stability. We'll see if the owner lets these guys coach and do what they're supposed to do. That was one of the big things that gripes that Frank Reich actually had with the team was the owner was basically asking them why you call them that play type situations. Um, so I mean, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully he does. Like I said, hopefully he's learned, gives him some room. He's done 3 or actually, is it 4 coaches within a year basically? I
Something
think
like
he's
that.
had
I
on that
mean,
roster.
it's out of control.
Yeah,
It's
this
embarrassing.
yeah.
It's a dumpster fire.
I'm trying to think. If you take Matt Rule, the assistant coach, the 49ers defensive coordinator that they just got rid of, Frank Reich, the whoever took over for Frank Reich, and now the new
Oh,
guy they just brought in.
Wilkes
That's
was there
5 head
too.
coaches
Yeah,
in 2 years. Yeah, Wilkes was there. He actually had them playing well. But yeah, that's 5 coaches in 2 years that they've had.
unbelievable. Could you list down all their free agents real quick? Would you mind?
Unrestricted free agents for the Carolina Panthers. We got C.J. Henderson, D.J. Shark,
Shark's a good
Frankie.
receiver.
Yes, he is. Frankie Louvu, Shaquille Griffin, Brian Burns, Marcus Haynes, Sam Franklin, Vita Grossmatos. If I apologize if I said that wrong. Chenault Jr., the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Deshaun Williams, defensive lineman. Camus Grungler Hill, a linebacker. J.J. Hansen, long snapper. Henry Henderson, interior defensive line. Jeremy Chin, safety. Troy Hill, cornerback. Gabe Jackson, right guard. Deion Jones, Tay Davis, both linebackers. Justin McCray, a guard. David Sharp and Chris Wormley are all their free agents that they got listed unrestricted.
They got some dudes on that list, man. Luvo is a pretty decent linebacker that I think they should keep. But you can't keep them all, man. So I don't know. Even with 40 million in cap space, and then you don't have
Can't keep
much of
them
a
all, and you got to
draft.
hope they're going to want to stay.
You gotta hope they want to stay because you can't. You can only tag one guy, so you can tag Brian Burns, and then everybody else is free to go. And I would imagine none of them want to stay there. And then you
Nope.
gotta. And it's not just a matter of going into free agency and getting whoever you want. It's not Madden. You can't just go say, "Oh, well, I signed that guy." Like he has to actually want to come play for you. And why would you want to go play there when you have no real assurances that you're going to be playing for that coach by midseason? You
That's
know,
true. And whoever they bring in is going to be a market changing player. Um, Remember
Yep.
when the Jacksonville Jaguars brought in the receiver's name is escaping my name
Oh yeah, I remember. Because that's what set off the chain reaction
of the
that
receiver's
screwed me
pay.
out of Tyreek Hill.
Yes,
Yep.
that was the signing that changed the whole wide receiver tier list as far as pay goes.
Yep.
Was the signing of that receiver? His name's escaping me,
Yeah,
and
as soon as you said it, I know exactly who you're talking about, and the name zapped me
yep,
out too.
they got him
So
from Arizona. But that's what the Panthers are going to have to do is basically do a game market changing signing to get anyone to come there. In my
can't
opinion, that's what they're going to have
can't
to do
think of
with
that
that.
dude's names to save Christian Kirk.
Yep, Christian Kirk. That was it.
Yeah, Christian Kirk. I mean, and Christian Kirk. Let's be real. He's a good receiver. He's not a.
He's good, but when Jacksonville signed him, did he deserve to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL? I mean,
I don't. He didn't hit that money, did he? But he.
I
It
believe
was
so.
like,
When they signed him,
let's look
when
it
he
up because
signed, he was the
he's
highest
like
paid
20
wide receiver
million
in
a
the
year or
NFL.
something.
Yeah,
They paid
but
him. They paid him crazy money.
that's what set the market. That's why Devontae Adams. That's why Tyreek Hill. That's why all of them were like, "Whoa, if this guy's getting paid that,
Well,
we're
see,
changing."
I didn't think he was the highest paid receiver. I think it was just like, hey, it's Christian Kirk, and then he goes and signs like a 20 something $1 million contract, and it's like, okay, you're Christian Kirk, man. Yeah, so he's got a cap hit this year of 24 million. I don't know if he was ever the highest paid receiver, but he was so far above what everybody thought he should or would get that it reset the market on the higher end guys. And you're right. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter whether he was the highest paid or not. He did reset the market. Whether he was or not doesn't matter.
I
So
mean, it
yes,
was. I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm just trying to look it up really fast. About says the Jaguars breaking the wide receiver market is profound effect on the NFL. I believe when he signed, it was the highest deal for wide receivers.
it possibly was. I mean, we can just go with that because it
Yeah,
regardless, he set the market and it changed. And then Devonte Adams went and got his deal, and then
yeah,
Drew Rosenhaus is a bitch. So
yeah. If it was a 4-year, $72 million deal with 84 million with incentives, basically,
good grief.
and that's what
That's
opened up all the whole wide receiver market right then and there.
and it was like it was Christian Kirk, man. It's not.
I know, I
So
know, man.
to your point, yes, the Panthers are going to have to do something like that. And real quick, can we just since we're on the subject of this wide receiver market, do you think that we are still experiencing the effects of that? And do you think that the market is about to pop?
Oh, this market's about to explode because you got 3 wide receivers about to come up that are going to reset the whole market again with
I don't
Jamar
think the
Chase.
market can sustain it. Is my
If
argument.
the cap keeps going up, so there's gonna be room in there for it.
I know,
So I
but
mean,
I kind of look at it as a percentage thing, right? So if you look at percentage of cap that a wide receiver takes, they changed that with Kirk, and then Devonte Adams changed it, and then Tyreek Hill changed it
yes,
again. Um, and now you're talking about Justin Jefferson. He is going to set it again. But you look at the Justin Jefferson thing going on, they're to a point where if they sign him, they essentially can't pay a quarterback. So they have to draft one and have a guy on a rookie contract for 4 or 5 seasons to even keep Justin Jefferson around, which is just
which is
insane to me. You're paying him quarterback money essentially, which is what you and I always argued about when Tyreek Hill went. As my point was always like, I can't pay a wide receiver quarterback money, dude. I can't.
yeah,
So
which is
I
probably
don't
what's
know.
gonna happen. We're done with the Panthers, right? I mean, there's not much else to say really with the Panthers or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm done with the Panthers,
They're a horrible franchise. Let's go ahead and go into the NFC North. Since we brought up the Minnesota Vikings, let's go ahead and just dive into them right off the bat since we already brought them up. Um, Christian Kirk, of course, or not Kirk, Justin Jefferson, my fault.
Yes.
Um, they're going to have to make a decision on him coming up here pretty soon, of course. If you're the Vikings, first off though, do you re-sign Kirk Cousins?
I don't think you can. I mean, I don't. They already said they're not going to give him a guaranteed contract that you know Kirk's been famous for, and I think if you're Kirk Cousins, you probably want that again, and you played a phenomenal season. You're probably on most people's, at least I'd say in most NFL guys' minds and most GM's minds, you're a top 10 quarterback. I know there's some fans that'll scream and say no way, but like he's a dude.
So if you're the Vikings, would you try to trade up to get one of these top quarterbacks that are ranked, or do you just kind of let the market see where it settles?
I think I would kind of just wait to see what happens, man. I know the draft can do crazy things. I think what not to get too much into the draft stuff, but what we really don't know, the real big wild card out there right now is the Patriots sitting at number 3. And they got a
Yep.
new coaching staff, a new GM, a new everything. And do they like Mac Jones? Does that coaching staff want to deal with Mac Jones? Do they think they can recover that? Or do they want to take Jaden Daniels at number 3? Because that changes the entire draft. And from what I've seen, is if the Patriots take Marvin Harrison Jr., the whole draft goes differently, and you kind of end up with Jaden Daniels possibly sinking down to where a team like this could possibly get him.
It is a possibility that that could happen. Um, yeah, I don't know where the Vikings are going to head as far as what they're going to be looking for in this draft. I think they're going to try to see if Cousins will sign a team friendly deal, especially coming off the torn Achilles. I think they're going to hope teams are kind of hesitant on trying to sign him, and I think they're going to hope the market kind of floods its way out, let the draft go. Teams that need a quarterback, hopefully they draft a quarterback, is what I think the Vikings are going to hope for, and then come back and say, "All right, everything's filled up, Kirk. This is what we got for you."
In a way, the Vikings are a little lucky that he tore the Achilles because that dude was on fire by the time he got hurt there. Like, had he finished at the pace he was on, he was going to have the best year of his career by far. Wasn't even going to really be close. And Justin
No, he was.
Jefferson was going off. I mean, so you're right, man. Maybe they get a deal on Kirk. Maybe you want to stay. Maybe that's best for both parties.
Now, do you sign on the defensive side of the ball? They got Daniel Hunter as a free agent.
Yeah, Daniil Hunter's a beast, man. You can't keep everybody over there with Justin and Daniil's what 28, 29.
Yep, somewhere right around there.
I don't resign him. I
You
don't
let him
resign him.
walk.
I let him walk.
I mean,
Not
edge
quality.
rusher.
It's not the quality of the player. It's the age. I just there's very few players out there that are 29, 30 years old that I would re-sign. I mean, it so happens that Chris Jones is one of those guys, but I think he transcends the age issue. I don't really like to sign a guy anywhere near that 29 age mark. Get rid of him a
Yep.
year before you need to, right? That's the old Belichick thing, right?
Yep. I mean, that's what they say. But I mean, sometimes it also depends on what you got to replace the guy. Um, is also sometimes a big factor in there
I
with
don't
that.
feel like edge is that hard to draft, do you?
I think if you have a dominant edge player, you keep him.
Do you think Daniil Hunter is a dominant edge player? I guess is the question.
I don't. Gosh, with the scheme that they ran, I don't know if they need him.
Yeah.
With as much as they blitzed, I don't know. I don't know if they need him as much as what he might demand on the open market.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, So I agree with you completely. If you have a dominant edge rusher, you keep him. I just don't know if Daniil Hunter is that. I mean, do you see Daniil Hunter as a? Does he have even a sniff at the Hall of Fame?
Oh, as of right now, I would say no.
I guess that I'm using that not because it's a deciding factor in signing a contract, but it's a good measurement of what your career has been so far at 29 years old. And if you're not even a sniff away from the Hall of Fame, I mean, I don't know if you can be considered dominant at 29 and you're not going to get any better. So I
I
don't
can
know.
agree with that. I definitely wouldn't overpay for him. I will
Right.
say that he's not
Right.
going to get top tier market money.
No.
Um,
Well, he might. I mean, somebody like
well,
the
I'm saying
Panthers.
for me, if
Yeah,
I'm the
right.
Vikings, he's not getting
Right.
top tier market money. He's not getting that money, especially when I got to go re-sign Justin Jefferson. And what's
Yeah.
going to be the Justin Jefferson signing? I'm guaranteeing you, if I'm the Cowboys, I want to sign CD Lamb first. They're the same draft, him and Justin Jefferson. So I have a feeling they're both kind of waiting on each other to see who signs what, and then the next person's going to top that money.
Completely agreed. You do not want to be the guy holding the hot potato on that.
No. So
So here's a question for you that's a little wild and kind of out of the box, I guess, but not really because the Chiefs did it. So do you take a number out of the Chiefs playbook and do you trade Justin Jefferson for a load of picks and try to reload?
what's crazy is it's hard to say no because if you look at this year, the Vikings actually played well when he wasn't in the lineup.
They got a young dude that they drafted this last season that's a
Yeah.
fantastic wide receiver.
So I mean, I guess I go with this. The Chiefs did sign Tyreek Hill to at least one contract, correct?
They did. Yeah, he played out
So
his rookie contract and then we signed him to another, I believe, 4 year deal. He played three of that four. And then he wanted to get paid again, which rightly so.
yeah,
No anger there. But we
I
just
yeah,
didn't want to pay him, so traded him.
yeah. I guess for me with him at that age, I probably sign him to at least one more an extension for where
Yep.
he's at now for
Get
him
him
at
to
his
that
age.
get him to that
And
27, 28 year mark and then
yep. Then
yep.
after that, we see where things settle at, and if I need to move on, then I possibly move on. Especially if I haven't gotten to where I need to get to, or in the case of the Chiefs, they got to where they needed to get to, and we're just like, oh, we got other areas we got to fill. So they
I just think he's gonna get around $32 million a year or something. I mean, it could be even more. The dude's how do you even build a team around a wide receiver that's getting $32 million a year?
it's tough to do. Depends on it. The good thing for the Chiefs is you have Andy Reid. Chiefs got Andy Reid, man. I mean, he's a great play caller, draws up great plays. I mean, and most offensive coaches believe they're going to be able to do that type of thing. But how many wide receivers have we seen, or I shouldn't even limit it to wide receivers, great players have we seen make an offensive coordinator look good?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, to some extent, you could say that Patrick does that for Andy because Andy didn't have any Super Bowl wins before Patrick. So,
Well, he didn't have Super Bowl wins, but he was already proven to take different quarterbacks to a high level. So I mean,
but what was the knock on him? I mean, if we look back to when he got hired by the Chiefs, the knock was he can't get there. He can't like well, he can get there, but he ain't gonna win it. Like he can't win the
no,
big
but
game was the knock. I mean, which obviously proved to be wrong, but part of that was sticking with a guy for long enough to let him get his guys going, and then you get a couple of lucky breaks in the draft, or you call it luck or call it good or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. You did well in the draft, and that's really what it took. So I don't know, man. I think I am really struggling lately with where I value draft picks and how to build a franchise and I've always been a build through the draft kind of dude. But then when you get a guy like you did, you hit a home run with Justin Jefferson. How much of the salary cap can you allot to the wide receiver room? Because you still got to have five other dudes in that room. That's the
I don't know.
problem with paying a wide receiver $30 million. It's not that he's getting $30 million. It's that I got to put five other dudes in that room, and wide receivers aren't cheap.
No, but if you believe you're a good evaluator of wide receivers, then you know you're going to draft somebody good.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
there's that circle of it.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, the Vikings they got decisions to make with Kirk Cousins and Daniil Hunter. And then of
They
course they're
need an
going to have to
offensive
re-sign Justin
line too,
Jefferson.
man.
Oh, most definitely. That's one of the team needs that's listed on here for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. I can't wait to get into some more detailed stuff with some of these teams, man, and really break some of this stuff down.
Oh, most definitely. When we do
Probably
get ready
should
to
move
do,
on from the Vikings though.
yeah,
We're getting long winded on some of these guys.
yeah, we are. All right, Chicago Bears. Let's assume they're going. Let's assume they're trading Justin Fields. Let's just assume they're trading Justin, drafting Caleb Williams. I know you already mentioned in your mind that's not the right move for them to do.
Terrible
You
move.
think they should keep Justin and trade the draft pick?
If I can trade out of one, I will, because I think you can get a lot out of it. I think that a couple teams have kind of already made their intentions known that they want Caleb to include the Commanders. So if you can get a bunch out of it, I think that's the way to build because then hopefully you can stay right there in the top 10. You can get a tackle and you can get Marvin Harrison or you can get, I mean, you can load up, man, is what I'm saying. And I think that's what they should do is load up. I don't think they're a quarterback away. And I don't know how much I love Caleb Williams, to be completely honest with you. I know there's a lot of wild stuff being said about him being one of the best quarterback prospects in the last however many years or whatever, but I don't see it.
No, no, I definitely agree. Um, I'm not 100% sold on him. They're saying he's the over talented guy, but if you're a GM, GMs usually draft for who they said to basically save their job because you don't want to be the guy that also passes up on him if he ends up being a dominant quarterback, and that's kind of a tough situation for a GM to do. Um, I hate to say it, I agree with the Bears to go ahead and reset their salary cap clock by
Okay.
drafting Caleb Williams. That's the biggest reason why I probably make that move is to reset that clock
That makes
for
sense.
that salary. And if you get something good for Justin Fields, you do it. I'm hearing just a second round pick. I'm looking probably for a first round pick, even if it's not this draft, maybe a draft in the future is what I'm looking for if I'm the Bears. Don't know if they'll get it or not, especially if teams know that you're gonna be passing up on that QB or you're looking to draft a QB. So kind of where the Bears need to go. And then after that, they have another top pick. I believe they're number 8 in the draft as well. Is that where they're at?
9.
They're
They're number
9.
1 and number 9.
At the number 9 spot, I probably go offensive tackle because this is a pretty good draft for his offensive tackles.
So Joe Alt should be there. He's a guy that, his dad was a Chief and a Bear. His dad was a really good right tackle for the Bears for a long time, and that kid is phenomenal. So that fits them pretty well. I
Yep.
like the kids that have the legacy.
I'm the same way. I was gonna talk about that for a second, but
Yeah.
if you already show me you got the pedigree, and if it's even close, I'm taking you because you've got the pedigree already.
Well, and then like just real quick, because I know we don't want to get too off on a tangent again, but the thing with those legacy players, man, is like they number one, they have a dad in their life. Number
Yep.
two, they have a dad in their life that was in the league and knows what to expect and is in that kid's ear and knows how to help him with the money situation, knows how to get him prepared, how to teach him how to watch film. And then also, you don't have to worry about that kid losing his mind about having money. He's been rich his whole life.
Yep. Don't
So,
disagree. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with the Bears. Possibility they could draft a wide receiver as well.
yeah,
Harrison Jr. If he fell that far, it's a possibility. Or if they trade back a few spots, they could get to that spot
I
to
think
get
you take
Harrison
him at
Jr.
think you take him at 2 or 4 if you trade back to the Cardinals and you run
Exactly.
away happy. But I get it. They probably will take Caleb, which is crazy.
Yep. All right. Green Bay Packers. I'll let you take it because as far as I'm concerned, they could drive off a bridge.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that. I don't even know where to go from that, brother. Give me a second here. So, the Packers obviously a great young team as far as who they have. Uh, I had to eat some crow with Jordan Love because I was not a Jordan Love fan going into the season. The stuff that we had seen from him just was subpar, to be honest, and I really didn't expect to get him turned around. But he obviously developed, which is another argument for hey, you got to let guys have some development time sometimes, which is
Okay, I'm gonna kind of disagree a little bit with you here on
okay.
Jordan Love.
Okay.
I don't. I still question what's the real Jordan Love.
Okay.
Is it the Jordan Love that played against San Francisco that threw 2 interceptions and basically cost his team the game? To me, that's the real Jordan Love. He didn't play well all season long. He got off to a decent start, really struggled in the middle part of the season, caught a little fire at the end, had a great game against Dallas. I can't take that away from him or anything like that. But then, of course, he plays the 49ers and he rolls right on first down and throws back across the field. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
I mean, ultimately, he had 4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I mean, that's a damn good season, man. You can't take it away from him. He had almost 64% completion percentage, which isn't wonderful, but it's not bad either. Um, I get it, man. Like, is he my favorite quarterback? Is if I were building a team tomorrow, is he a guy that I want to go after? No, to be completely honest, no. It's not even on my list. But I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from him either. Like, he played well. He's only
No,
25. He's been in the league for a few years. He had a chance to learn under one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. So I don't know. It seems like things are stacked in his favor. He also has a really talented young receiver group that you just can't argue with. Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson. And, what's the other kid? They had a rookie this year that was maybe the best of all of
no.
them.
I forgot what that dude. I don't try to memorize any Packers, man.
I don't know. I like their team. I like a lot of their players, especially a lot of their young defensive players. I really like, and those were guys that I kind of had earmarked for the Chiefs in some of the past drafts or two. So they had a lot of young, great players. I think they've built that roster the right way. They just need to keep doing the same thing, man. Keep loading up in the draft. There's really not a ton to say about them. They only have 17 million in cap space, so it's not like they can go on a spending spree or anything like that. But
Nope.
they can probably get one key guy and then go sign their draft class, and
Yeah,
that's good.
they're gonna have to address their safety position. They got 3 safeties as free agents. Darnell Savage or cornerback Darnell Savage, my fault. Rusty Ford, safety, um, or Darnell Savage at safety. Rudy Ford at safety, and then their other safety, Jonathan Owens. They're all free agents, so that's going to be a position they're going to have to address.
Savage is the only guy in that group that I would even think about re-signing. I think you probably can re-sign him. Darnell Savage isn't exactly a superstar or anything like that, and he plays at a position that doesn't make that much money in relation to other positions. So I think you probably re-sign Darnell and then go draft a couple guys, and you've been good at drafting, and maybe you don't even re-sign Darnell if he wants too much money. Safety isn't too hard to draft, it seems like.
Nope.
So that's my
But
take on the Packers. We can move on
all right,
from
I'm done with the Packers, man. Like I said, they can whatever.
The hate
So
is
quick true
real.
story, quick story, just really quick about the Green Bay Packers. So I went and checked out the new axe throwing place here in Bellevue called the Alley,
Yeah.
and so I'm sitting there waiting on some food to get cooked, and I'm sitting at the bar, and I overhear the owner and a Green Bay Packer fan, and they're sitting there talking, and they're just like, oh, man, yeah, I respect the Cowboys, and I respect the 49ers, and this, that, and this. And I look dude straight in the eye and say, I fucking hate the Packers. It's like, I can't stand them.
Speaking of the Packers, did you see the Saturday Night Live skit or whatever?
No, I did not.
I guess there was. I'll send it to you, man.
All right.
It's not safe for work.
Okay. I'll take a look at it. I have to take a look
Yeah,
at
man.
it. And to my brother
Yeah.
Dez, my brother Dez is a Packer fan. I got nothing for you, man. I hate the Packers. That's all I'm going to say. You're my brother. I hate the Packers.
Damn. Damn, that's harsh. Who's next?
All right. Detroit Lions. Great season for them. They're going to have a ton of cap space, I believe. What is it, about $60 million in cap space almost they're going to have?
Yeah.
So ton of cap space. They're going to have to address their offensive line a little bit because they do got some free agents on the offensive line coming up.
What's
But this
Frank
is
Ragnow's status?
Frank Ragnow. Let me just double check on him, see if I can find him on this list. I'm not seeing him on here for free agent.
Okay, well, he ended up getting hurt too, but that's one of the best centers in the league. So good for them that they get to keep him. They probably need to draft a guy to develop behind him, just so it's not a problem because he's getting up there. But
Yeah,
is
both of
there
their left
anybody in a
tackles are.
is there anybody in a better situation than these guys? Like 60 million
Depends
in
on your
cap
feelings on
space.
Jared Goff. Depends on your feelings on Goff, in my opinion. I mean, he's
Okay, well,
proved he can't handle pressure. So
yeah. I mean,
depends on your feelings on him.
there's not a lot
I
of
mean,
quarterbacks that can take pressure right up the middle. Just to be fair, neither can Tom Brady.
No. But I've said this about Goff since he was with the Rams. You put pressure on him, and he's not good at all.
He changes, that's for sure.
And he's just a completely different guy. Even the San Francisco 49ers actually mentioned it in their post game against the Rams, saying we finally got some pressure on him, and he was a different guy once that started to happen. I mean, most quarterbacks are, but he just seems like he completely melts when pressure gets in his face.
So I guess my sell on that to you, or my strategy with that, would be, okay, I hear you. Let's go get a guy, maybe in like the 4th round, like a Spencer Rattler.
Well, they got what was his name? The quarterback from Tennessee tore his ACL at the end of the year.
Oh, that's right. They do have him.
Yeah,
That's their.
he's there.
So nah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
don't
going
need
after
to.
Rattler.
You don't need to do anything then, man. Just keep developing that young man behind him and see what he's got. If you don't like what you're seeing with him next year, maybe think about a quarterback. But Goff got you right to the doorstep of the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, biggest thing if I'm Detroit is I probably find some more edge rushers or someone to give me some interior pressure
And
to
let's
help out Hutch.
hold on 1 second on Goff. It's not like this dude hasn't been to a Super Bowl.
I
He's
give
done
him
it
more
before.
credit than I give Dak. I give him more credit than I give Dak.
Just saying. Just saying.
I can't talk
There's
too
no
much
questions
about him,
there. We know he can do it.
Yeah, he can definitely do it. But like I said, the biggest thing with him is once you get pressure on him, he's a whole different guy.
He
as
is.
far as that goes. But Detroit's pretty set. Anything else you want to talk about with Detroit?
No. I mean, what do you go get? I guess some defense.
Yeah, like I said, defensive line, probably maybe some guards because
Secondary.
They got some free agency.
Secondary was
secondary
terrible.
help they're definitely going to need with the way they like to call their defense. So
yeah, their secondary didn't perform well.
Yep. All right, man. We got 2 more divisions to do. You want to try to fly through them, or what do you want to do? All right, I'm down. We'll go to the NFC West. We got the Arizona Cardinals. They, of course, brought back Kyler Murray, so he is still going to be there. They're going to have some running back help there. John Connor, he is going to be a free agent for him.
Yeah.
So they're going to need some help there. To me, this is a team that when they get into the draft just kind of needs to take the best available, whether that be an offensive lineman, wide receiver, could be Marvin Harrison Jr. at that point. I like him a little bit more than the Washington wide receiver that's listed to come out in the draft. I know those two are neck and neck. 1 and 2.
Rome Odunze.
Yep. It's kind of one of those legacy things like we mentioned. I'm taking the Harrison Jr. in that type of situation.
You ain't going to hear any arguments from me. I'll be real honest. I think he's the best player in this draft.
Yep. So if I'm the Cardinals, 1 of 2 things I go is I either take the wide receiver or I take the offensive lineman. Offensive tackle, best one that's on the board available up there. I think they picked 4th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for some reason Marvin Harrison doesn't go at 3 to the Patriots. Then, you got a number of choices. You could go alt as high as 4. There's a couple tackles that are up in play for those top 5 picks, top 10 picks. So yeah, but if Harrison drops to you, you just punch that ticket and run up to the podium as fast as you can and laugh your way to the bank because you got the best player in the draft.
No, I definitely agree with that. Seattle Seahawks. You got any takes on them with Geno Smith coming back?
One
Go ahead.
second, I just want to. I don't want to. Did we talk about the Cardinals cap situation and all that? Like, I don't want to give them. I don't.
No, we did not. Go ahead with that.
Yeah, hold on one second. So yeah, 57 million in cap space for them. So they can kind of go do whatever they want. They should be able to retain anyone they want as far as guys that they have come and due. Really, the Cardinals should be a better team next year, and if they're not, it's a failure. They
No,
have
they
all the
definitely
tools.
will. The other thing to remember is they do have a defensive-minded head coach. So I don't know if that'll affect their thought process with the draft a little bit.
It shouldn't
I
at
mean, the top
4.
players, yeah, shouldn't have four of their top players are pretty much solid to be offensive skill players or a tackle at this point in the draft. So I think it'll head that way with them. As far as that goes for the Arizona Cardinals, most definitely.
Right.
Anything else you want to touch on with the Cardinals?
Oh no, I think that's it, man. They should be able to do whatever they want this offseason. They should be a player, can make a couple splash moves really if they want to, or they can retain their guys if they like them.
All right, Seattle Seahawks. They got Geno Smith. Looks like they're bringing him back for one more
Yep.
year. Brand new head coach, defensive coordinator from the Baltimore Ravens, McDonald. He's going to be taking over as the head coach there. So they're going to be kind of going in a new direction, getting rid of Pete Carroll, who's been there for quite a while. So brand new look for Seattle. Curious on kind of what they're going to start doing with this situation with themselves.
Yeah, man. They got a couple great running backs, so you still got a good wide receiver room. I think Lockett is probably done there just for salary cap reasons. Let me look at the Seahawks real quick. You want to give some thoughts there on whether you think Lockett will make it or they'll part ways with him?
I think they'll probably part ways with Lockett. If they
16
don't
million
part,
in cap.
yeah, if they don't part ways with Lockett, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade the other wide receiver that they have, Metcalf.
Metcalf.
Wouldn't wouldn't shock me if they tried to do something to that effect with it.
I don't
Try to
think you
keep it
move on from
straight.
Metcalf personally. I think Lockett's days are done there with the new head coach, and they can save. If I remember right, this is from memory, so I could be off a little bit, but I think they can save close to 16 million or something like that by
By
moving
letting
on.
Lockett go.
Yeah, I think it's a post June 1 cut for that. Not completely sure, so if I'm wrong, guys, like don't hold me to it, but you can save a significant amount of money by cutting Lockett. Not that he's really regressed much. He still plays pretty well. It's just one of those cap casualties that we see in the league happen. So I think he will be a cap casualty. And um, actually, not to get into the Chiefs, but that's the guy I want to come in here because I think you can get him cheap. He's from here, and I think that fits us better. But I think they could
I'll be
cut
curious
him.
if they re- I'll be curious if they re-sign Bobby Wagner. He's a free agent.
Should be
Williams, a
able to get
defensive
him
lineman,
cheap.
defensive tackle. Yeah, Williams, a defensive tackle, is a free agent.
Yeah,
See who they pluck from the Baltimore Ravens to bring over to kind of carry on that defensive mindset that the head coach already has. So
yeah.
that'll be an interesting kind of get to for them.
Wagner's as old as dirt, but he's still playing well, man. So
Yeah, man, there was a play where I watched Wagner. Man, I wish I could remember the game that they were playing, but it might have been the Cowboys. The tight end had a full steam ahead of speed, ran into Wagner and just dropped. Wagner just dropped him. I mean, that dude is still a beast back there.
he's a stud, man. He's a stud. He's playing with technique at this point. His athleticism is not what it used to be.
No, can't be at that age, but
Just
if I
knowledge, just knowledge. There's nothing the dude hasn't seen. You're not surprising him. Like the guy's a film monster. I know that. So
he's someone I would get excited if the Cowboys actually brought him in.
yeah, I can see that.
He's someone I would
See
actually get
that.
excited about.
But like, if you guys do that, my question for you is Van Der Esch.
I think his career's done.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my opinion on him. We'll get into
yeah.
Dallas in just a little bit.
Okay.
Um, LA Rams, Los Angeles Rams. I mean, they are ahead of schedule from I think where people projected them to be at. Um, Kyron Williams at running back. They're going to have a new defensive coordinator this year. So we'll see how that affects them a little bit there. Matthew Stafford, man, probably the top quarterback in the NFC.
Got a couple more years left on him, I think.
Yep. If he can stay healthy, probably top
I've,
quarterback in the NFC.
I've always liked Stafford, man. The dude is a competitor. Like I've seen him so many times go out there beat up and banged up and just go compete and do what he has to do to make a play and get his team to win. And I can't say enough about Stafford, but that's one of the few SEC quarterbacks that I've really enjoyed watching play. And when I say that, I mean like modern SEC quarterbacks. Obviously, Peyton Manning is one of the greatest of all times, but some of these more modern SEC quarterbacks just haven't been my cup of tea. Stafford's an exception, which I guess he's not even modern anymore at this point. This
No,
dude's
he's a senior citizen on the NFC quarterback tour.
right.
To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of young pieces there with the Rams, and like you said, they're ahead of schedule. And what can you say about them? I mean, you kind of thought they mortgaged their future a little bit for that Super Bowl because of all the trades they made, but they're sitting good cap wise. They're 48 million in cap space, and
They
I
finally
don't know
got
what
draft
they're.
picks back this year.
Do they have draft picks this year?
Yep, they finally got some draft picks back this year. I mean, they did a great job drafting Puka.
Yeah,
Uh, there's actually a video of the Rams in their war room talking about Puka Nacua before they draft him, and it's a pretty good video to watch. They just
nice.
talk about how his 40 time is going to make him drop in the draft, but they knew he was a player.
That's awesome.
So
That's
it's really
awesome. Yeah,
good.
they're doing a great job, man. They're a danger. They'll threaten the 49ers next year.
They definitely will. What the Rams have in cap space? You said 48 million. I want to say
48 million. They got
yeah.
quite a bit of room, and like my thing is when you see a team have 48 million in cap space, that's not really what they have. And what I mean by that is you still have cap flexibility with guys, whether you be restructuring or cutting or whatever. Like if you want a little bit more cap space, you can go get it. So I'm pretty sure, I haven't spent a lot of time looking at their cap situation, but I'm pretty sure if you wanted to get to 60 million, it wouldn't be that hard.
Now I got a question for you, just a real quick question. If you were the
Yeah.
Rams GM, based on the way he has done things,
Mm-hmm.
now that he has draft picks, do you think he goes back to his "F them picks" motto and trades and goes and gets players that are going to get him over the top?
Well, I guess you probably watch more Rams football than I have. Do they have any glaring needs like that?
So I mean,
Are they a player away?
they had a rookie defensive tackle that was really solid. Was up for rookie of the year. He had about 10 and a half sacks. I want to say I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sure my buddy Art, if he was here, he'd be able to let me know right off the bat. Aaron Donald's still there. They do need some linebacker help still, but it's something where let's just say they went to the Chiefs and said, "We'll give you our first and second round picks for Chris Jones."
Oh wow. Um, yeah, maybe. I mean, that would be filthy nasty. I don't know how you would. Man, well, I guess I'll ask you as a defensive coordinator, how would you use those two guys together? Because I mean, that's filthy for one thing.
Oh,
I,
I'd figure it out. I don't know off the top of my head, but
well, you
give
know
me a
why
couple
I'm
throws.
asking because they
Yeah,
kind of they both play similar same positions. I mean, they're both three techniques that bump to the edge every now and then.
yeah.
So I don't know. They're kind of similar guys in that way. I mean, they're not similar size, but they play a similar style or brand of football and play
I
at the
guess my
same
thought
position.
process is Aaron Donald. I think they're both mobile enough to where I can move them around and figure something
You
out
can
with them.
move them.
Yeah,
You can move them.
and that's
I
just a
from a Chiefs
random example.
perspective, I'd listen to it for sure. I mean, but from a Rams perspective, if you feel like making the best defensive line maybe ever by adding Chris Jones to the interior there with Aaron Donald. I mean, that's pretty sick.
It is. And I'm not saying the Rams are going to do it. I'm not even really projecting the Rams are going to do it. But this GM of the Rams, he's known to make those big moves
Is
when
that
he
the
feels
guy
like
you
that team
move
is
for,
close.
I mean,
That was just the first big name that popped in my head. So I'm not saying
okay,
for sure that's the first. That's not necessarily the move that I'm going to make.
that'd be a
Just
splash. I mean, he is kind of a Madden guy, right? Like he kind of runs his organization like he's playing a Madden franchise.
he does, and that's why it wouldn't shock me if he tried to pull that. Let's just say the Chiefs are having trouble signing Jones, and he's just like, "Hey,
Yep.
screw them picks, man." Like,
Yeah.
that's what this guy does.
Yeah, man. Um, you could see it. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a big splash. They have the money. Sounds like they have the draft capital. Um, I'd be willing to listen to them as well, man. If you want to give me a call, and I'll take all them picks off your hands. But they done so well drafting recently. Like I would be more inclined to keep the picks, I guess, to answer your question.
And I mean, that might be something that they do. It's just that's what this guy does. So that's why it wouldn't shock me if he did something spectacular like that.
Well, I just say
Try to
that
just
because you have a pretty decent free agency draft class or free agency class rather this year, so you could actually go get a guy like Josh Allen, not the quarterback guy, but the edge rusher out of
yep,
Jacksonville. So you could add a Josh Allen with the money you have, and that be your big D line splash move, and then keep all your picks and go add a bunch of young guys that you have your eye on. So that
yeah,
would be more my
definitely.
move.
Yeah, he could definitely do something to that effect.
Yeah.
Um, I could see him going there with it.
But I would definitely agree with you. I would expect to see a splash from them. That's what they do. So
Yep. All right. Defending NFC champ San Francisco 49ers.
this is
Anything
easy.
you feel like they can do to get or maintain at that level where they're
This
already
is an
at?
easy one. They still got their quarterback on the rookie wage scale, which helps them with a lot of things. The extra cap room that everybody got this year helps them keep Ayuk, and they have some picks. I don't think they have a first round pick this year. I'm not sure. I think they're still
I'm hearing
paying
Ayuk's
for.
going to be gone.
That's the
That's what I'm hearing.
rumblings. That's the
That's
rumblings, but you should be able to use the space to keep him there.
because I think Ayuk's going to want to be paid like a top tier wide receiver, and I don't think the 49ers are going to want to pay him that way.
Well, so here's my argument for that. If you're a Niners fan or you're just the Niners front office, I don't care what you want. I'm going to tag you because some of the big superstar pieces that I have on that team, they're not going to be around forever, man. Like Kittle is not young anymore, and maybe it's time to move on from him after this next season. Kyle Juszczyk has probably got maybe one more year left in him at that position. It's really a tough position to play. You get a lot of contact and impact as a fullback slash H back. There's just a lot of pieces there that I don't think you can keep once you got to pay your quarterback. So I think you have one more good run with this iteration of the Raiders, or the Niners. So I think you make sure that Ayuk stays in town. He's not a free agent this year. They extended him a 5th year option, didn't they?
For who? Who are you talking about?
Ayuk, isn't he on his fifth year
Let
option
me.
year?
Sorry, let me look at this really quick.
Yeah,
I was
while you're
pulling
looking
up.
that up, I believe they still control his contract for this upcoming season.
I didn't. He
So
wasn't a first round pick though, was he?
I think he was.
I didn't think he was a first round pick.
Perhaps not. I thought he was. I
Let me look
know
at it.
he was maybe an under the radar guy for a lot of people, but coming out of the draft, I was definitely aware of him, and I thought they picked him up in the first round. But let's see here.
Yeah, he's not listed as an unrestricted.
Yeah, he is 5th year option. He is the first round pick.
Okay, so they
So
got a fifth year option on him.
2024 will be his 5th year option year. He gets paid $14 million this year, which is a bargain for a guy like Ayuk, and he's your number one receiver. So you got 2 more years of being able to control Ayuk, whether he wants it or not.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, they're sitting good. I do have one surprise move that I think the 49ers might do.
Okay.
Shanahan has always had a person that he's loved and always wanted at that for to be on his team.
Who?
Christian Kirk, or sorry, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
You really think
He
so?
was his offensive coordinator in Washington. He thought they were going to get him when he became a free agent. When Shanahan first took over San Francisco, thought they were going to get Cousins then. If he feels, and Shanahan's proved it by firing his defensive coordinator, if he feels that there's a certain position that's holding his team back, he's going to make the move. That's what he's going to do.
I just can't see that. What would that do to your development of Brock Purdy? What would that do to your relationship with Brock Purdy? More importantly,
I don't know. Does it do anything? What if
I'd be
what if
pissed if I was
Cousins
Brock
comes
Purdy.
in?
I'd be done with you.
What if you still name Purdy your starter, but you bring Cousins in to be his backup? And if Purdy starts off slow, you got Cousins right then and there.
I can't do it, man. I'm not with you on this one.
I don't know, man. When you got Purdy for 2 more years locked up, you got him locked up for 2 more years.
You got to
There ain't
pay
nothing
Purdy after this season. After this upcoming season, you got to write a check to that dude.
Not if you bring in Kirk on a team-friendly deal.
Well, I say this, man. I guess if we're gonna play that game, I would put it this way: if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna make that move, then you go trade Brock Purdy.
I don't know. I wouldn't even trade him, man. I'd be like, hey, your time's coming. I'm rolling with Kirk.
It's just gonna ruin your relationship with the kid. It's gonna ruin his confidence. He's not gonna want to be there. I mean, if you came to me after this season, if you bench me for Kirk Cousins, because that's what's gonna happen if you bring in Kirk Cousins. Let's just be honest. Because you're not going to pay a guy and then sit him on the bench the whole year. That ain't happening.
No.
So, I'd be like, screw you, man. I'm not a 49er anymore. Trade me. I would actually.
Now, I will say this.
As Brock Purdy, I would come out and demand a trade.
Now, I will say this. That kind of move could affect your locker room.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
We saw how much those guys like Brock.
Yeah.
I can't see it, man. They need to put anything and everything they can in the offensive line. Their offensive line's terrible.
No, they definitely need to do that. But it's just an undercurrent move that I think I could see it happening. It's just an undercurrent move I could see happening.
What about Chase Young? Do you re-sign him?
Now I let him go. He's not someone I bring back.
Let's see what their cap situation is for the San Francisco 49ers.
I think they're pretty far under. They're about $25 million under.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing them? Oh, give me just a hot second here.
Nope,
$6 million.
They're probably about $6 million under.
They're $6 million under, so they don't have a lot of space, man. They can't make a whole lot of big splash moves. I know they can make space if they want to, but you were a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. Do you blow that roster up? I don't think so.
Oh, no, you definitely don't. So I'm looking at their free agent list. There's no big-time free agents that are really big contributors to them. I guess Randy Gregory and Chase Young are the two biggest.
You're probably okay letting both those guys walk, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, they got Farrell, former first-round pick for the Raiders. He was there. So, I mean, they might re-sign one of those guys just to get them some depth at the defensive end. So they're not just completely empty on that. But this is a team that I could see if they could work out a deal, go sign Hunter from Minnesota.
Danielle Hunter, yeah, that's actually, if you can figure it out cap space-wise. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll use bonuses. They'll use prorated signing bonuses to kind of get you as a low cap hit that first year. And maybe a guy takes a veteran minimum salary while taking a large signing bonus that'll get you under what you need for cap, and then he has a balloon year in the future.
Yep.
Because that salary cap, the way that works, just for everybody that's listening, if you sign that signing bonus, let's say you give them just for a nice round number, you give them a $40 million signing bonus. They get that whole thing right away up front as soon as you sign, but it's prorated over the life of the contract. So it's not like he's not getting good money that year, that first year of the contract. It's just all in the form of a bonus. And then he takes a low salary. And then next year he's getting about the same because the salary goes up. And then the bonus is also still prorated. So that's how they play salary cap magic there, if people are interested in that.
Correct. So if it was a $40 million contract or a $40 million bonus over a 5-year contract, that gets prorated over $8 million a year over the length of the contract is what that would
Correct.
come out to.
Correct. So you wouldn't have to pay him nothing but the league minimum or whatever as far as salary in that first year, and then you're sitting at like 9 million, which you can get that much cap room pretty
Correct.
easily. Every team can figure that out, even these guys that are over the cap. So
All
interesting.
right. Any other thoughts on the 49ers? I mean, they're
They
solid,
need
top tier.
they just need to hit the draft hard with offensive linemen. In my opinion, it's not a bad draft to do so. So
No, most definitely.
they could get it
You
like
know,
a Jalen Guyton might fall to them at the end of that first round there. Did they have 31 or did they lose that pick? I can't remember.
San Francisco,
Yeah,
I
did they
believe
have
they
pick?
have 31 still. They still have pick 31.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there and Jalen Guyton falls to you tackle at pick 31, you're pretty ecstatic. I don't see how they would let Jalen Guyton fall to the Chiefs because if there's not a receiver sitting there that we want, I think we would take Jalen Guyton if he's sitting there. So I think Niners probably take him if he's sitting there.
Yeah, the mock draft I'm looking at through USA Today has them taking Chop Robinson, defensive end from Penn State.
Yeah, that's a Niners pick for sure.
Yep. All
Hey, we
right, get to
need
roll
every
into my.
position. We need every
What's that?
position on the line except left tackle. Let's take another edge.
I wonder. I don't know if it'll happen or not. I was thinking they could take Tyron Smith and move him to right tackle from Dallas.
I've heard rumors, a lot of rumors about contenders picking him up, and it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yep. All right, NFC East, my specialty.
All right, man. Let's
Coming up.
talk about it.
Um, Washington Commanders, of course, hired Dan Quinn from the Dallas Cowboys, new head coach. That was kind of a shock to me because I did not expect Washington to go with the defensive-minded head coach or even go with Dan Quinn in that type of scenario. So that was a little bit of a shock, but they did bring in Cliff Kingsbury to be the OC.
Caleb Williams guy.
Caleb Williams guy, but I don't know if they're. I think they're going to be pretty stuck on Drake May from
Really?
North Carolina. I think that's who they're going to roll with for this draft.
Why?
I'm hearing a lot of great stuff about this guy. I've heard some people that saw him at the Super Bowl, seen him in person. They are happy with the way that he is physically structured. I
Well,
should
if you
say
like Will Levis, you like Drake May. They're the same person.
it's this is just coming from like Darius Butler. He mentioned
Yeah,
how much he
I heard
likes
that.
Drake May. Um,
I heard
I
that
wasn't
he's
expecting to come off that way. I'm not a huge Drake May fan. That's just my own personal opinion.
yeah.
But I think that's where Washington's going to probably go ahead and go in the draft, especially if Caleb Williams has gone off the board.
Yep. I agree. If Caleb's gone or you can't get to one, then Drake May will be the pick.
Yep. I'm sure they're going to probably invade Dallas, take a bunch of defensive players that are free agents. Wouldn't be surprised if they might possibly even pull off a trade to get Demarcus Lawrence. If Dallas releases Demarcus Lawrence, that could be a possibility.
Would you guys
That they go
trade
get.
in your division like that?
I don't think they trade him to Washington, but unless Washington came with a great deal. I mean, when we got Micah Parsons, it was kind of an interdivision trade with Cowboys and Eagles at the draft and things.
That's wild.
Yeah.
We don't
So
we
that
don't
was
do
all
that
kind
in
of
the
a.
AFC West. Screw them.
But Commanders are going to definitely need a quarterback. And then after that, I'm thinking they just got to go best available player. They need to address their offensive line most definitely still
Yep.
for themselves. So
Agreed.
see where they go from there.
Agreed.
I wouldn't be shocked if Tony Pollard ended up in Washington. That would not shock me.
And it's worth a mention that they have more salary cap room than anybody else with 96 million in salary cap space.
And they got Magic Johnson as a part owner of the team. So he's
Yep.
going to be, I'm sure, leading free agent negotiations, trying to get people to Washington. They'll be building a new stadium in the next few years as well,
They need one.
one up for themselves.
They need one. That one's terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. It's a dump.
Yep. 96 million in cap space, you can do whatever you want.
Most definitely. But yeah, they'll be hitting free agency hard. They're going to try to make that team the way they need to get it made. And I thought Washington was going to be a better team than they were last year. I thought Bieniemy would help boost them to close. I didn't pick them as a playoff team, but I thought they'd be right on that verge of being a playoff team. So see where they end up finishing up at. You got any other thoughts on the Commanders?
No, not a lot to say. I mean, they have a lot of holes to fill, but they have a lot of tools to use to fill them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. They probably are going to be one of the most active teams right away as soon as free agency opens with the tampering period, and I expect to see them make 3 or 4 splash plays.
No, most definitely. Big free agent for them is Curtis Samuel. He'll probably be their biggest free agent loss that I can see that's listed on here. Antonio Gibson, of course, they're going to probably address their running back situation in free agency, would be my guess.
Yeah.
So they'll be in the market, possibly going for Saquon or Josh Jacobs or something like that, possibility. If it's Kingsbury likes more of a slashing running back, so that's why I kind of think Pollard will be the guy that ends up going there.
Is Pollard a free agent?
Yep, Pollard's a free agent.
Nice. Okay.
Cowboys will not franchise tag him again, so.
Okay.
At least I don't foresee them doing it.
No, they shouldn't.
No. All right, New York Giants. Any thoughts there?
It's another dumpster fire of an organization. Oh my goodness. I mean, where do you even start? You go and you sign a guy like Danny Dimes to the contract that they gave him, and he has all the physical abilities in the world. I mean, he's White Vic, right? Like the dude can move and run and got a laser rocket arm, but he doesn't seem to be able to put that together on the field. So I don't even know where you go with them. I mean, like you said, we already talked about Saquon probably not going to be back. You need a bunch of guys on the offensive line because some of the guys that you've picked that were, guys that you thought were going to be something haven't turned out. You need everything. Kayvon Thibodeau has been as advertised. I'll give him that. So
yes, he's been solid. He's been really good.
I like Kayvon
They got
Thibodeau.
a new DC coming in this year.
Yep.
So see what happens with them with that.
They got some young dudes, man. It's not like they're bereft of talent. I just get frustrated with them because they're not bereft of talent, but they play like they are.
Yep. If I'm the Giants in this draft, I either draft whichever I feel is better at the time of my need is either offensive lineman or wide receiver. That's kind of where I go with them. If I'm the New York Giants, whoever I have higher on my draft board at that point.
It's a good draft to load up on anything pass catcher wise, tight end, wide receiver, whatever. The tight ends are deep late. There's only 2 good tight ends up at the top of the draft, but a lot of the late tight ends I think are going to be better than people know.
If you were the Giants, would you re-sign Saquon?
I love Saquon, so my answer is yes, but I don't know if Saquon wants to be there. He might need a change of pace. He might need a change of scenery. If I could re-sign him, the answer is yes, I would re-sign him.
That's how I feel with him.
Yeah.
He says he wants to be there, so we'll see if he wants to. We'll see how true that is. He says he wants to be there. Of course, he's going to want the right type of deal to keep himself there, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see more than anything. I just want to see Saquon succeed and live up to his potential because he has a ton of it.
Most definitely. Where the Giants? You said how much cap room did you say the Giants had?
The Giants are sitting pretty good, I think. Let me look here. Yeah, 38 million in cap room. They're pretty solid there.
Oh yeah.
They can do pretty much anything they want to.
Is this a make or break season for their head coach?
I don't know, man. Like I get frustrated with that team. I just don't understand. Like they have just going into this season, I just expected so much more of them. So I guess if I were a Giants fan, my answer would be yes. It's a make or break season for him and Danny Dimes.
Yeah, Danny Dimes is 100%. This is his prove it season. I mean, 100%
Yep.
for him.
Yep.
Ain't no questions about that.
Yep. So I don't know. They gotta right the ship over there. They have no business being as bad as they are.
No
At
reason to
all.
be. Well, I've always thought they suck. So
I get it. I mean, that's your division rival, right? But you just kind of look at the roster and it's like, well, what's the problem here, guys?
the biggest issue I had with the Giants, and this is just the truth, was preseason people were picking them to finish first or second in the division. When the previous year they didn't come close to beating the Cowboys or the Eagles. The previous year.
Yep. Yep.
Didn't come close, and I'm like, how are you picking this team to do this well?
They're
That was
the,
my biggest beef against the New York Giants.
they're the Chargers of the NFC East.
Good comparison.
Everybody wants to pick them. They got a bunch of great players on the roster, but the reality is they suck.
You said it. What you saying? All right. Next up is my nemesis, the Philadelphia Eagles. New offensive coordinator Kellen Moore coming in, so that's a change of offense for Jalen Hurts. New defensive coordinator coming in. So what are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles? You think they're going to be can Hurts run Kellen Moore's offense? Do you think?
It's not complicated. Kellen Moore doesn't run a complicated offense. Sure, he can run it. I guess my question more for Kellen Moore is: are you going to run stuff that's appropriate for Jalen Hurts' talents, and are you going to use him to the best of his abilities? As a coach, that's we said it earlier. That's what you're supposed to be doing, maximizing your players' talents and abilities. And Kellen hasn't had a great record of doing that. So we'll see what he does. It's not that I don't like the stuff Kellen Moore runs. He runs good stuff, just like any offensive coordinator that's made it to the NFL. They have good plays in the playbook, man. It's more about the play calling, calling it at the right time and getting into rhythms and using your players appropriately. And I just haven't seen that out of Kellen Moore. What are your thoughts on Kellen Moore?
I don't like the timing of his play calls. Not that I don't think he's I don't think he's a bad offensive coordinator. I don't like the timing of his play calls. I think he calls the wrong plays at the wrong time. And that's always been my biggest argument against Kellen Moore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
So the
I'm curious
Eagles,
if
they're rough, man. Like we don't know if they have a center. I mean, they got a lot of holes to fill, dude. And the way they ended that season, I think they flew above their weight there for a long time. They were punching out of their weight class for a long time.
I mean, I'll be curious if they bring back Fletcher Cox. Even he's a free agent for this roster. The running back DeAndre Swift is a free agent. They've told Reddick he could seek a trade.
Why bring Swift back? You didn't even use him.
True, they didn't use him. I don't disagree.
Don't bring Swift back. Don't pay a running back. Like that's a bad roster move, so they'll probably do it.
I'll be curious if Sirianni if he makes Kellen Moore run his offense, or if he lets Kellen Moore run what he runs.
That'll be interesting.
Kind of curious.
It'll probably be an amalgamation, right?
The
Probably
thing I
just
feel
a.
bad for Hurts with is this is his fourth offensive coordinator in 4 years, or
Mhm.
I think it's his fifth offensive coordinator in 4 years for
Yeah,
what he's actually had.
yeah.
So we'll see how he stands up. I don't like putting quarterbacks through that much change. I think it's good if a quarterback has some stability, and to have that much change can take its toll on a quarterback and kind of
Well,
make
it
them lose their
speaks
way
to
a
your
little bit.
point of, if you're Sirianni, do you not go hand Kellen Moore your playbook and be like, "This is what we're running, man. Figure it out."
He might do it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what he said he did last year, basically. Said it was his offense that the offensive coordinator was running.
yeah.
But maybe the owner went to Sirianni and said, no, you're not running your offense anymore. Let's get a new guy in. So who knows how that's going to play out.
More importantly, are they going to be able to run the tush push next year?
Oh, without Kelsey there?
Well, not just without Kelsey, but I just have a feeling it's not even going to be legal next year.
I don't I don't know how the league outlaws it. I don't know how they can do it.
It was illegal
Because
before. It was illegal before. You can't assist the runner.
well, you can't pull a runner from the front is the rule.
That's the rule now. Previously, the rule was you can get behind those guys and push the actual aid the runner forward. Because remember, I mean, that was across all levels of football for a while.
Was it?
Yeah,
I
because
remember pulling from the front.
well, think about Reggie. Reggie Bush got in trouble for it, man. Remember, he pushed Matt Leinart into the end zone, and that got there was big controversy with that. And then the rule was the same in the NFL for many years, and then they changed it, and then the tush push comes around, and now everybody's complaining about it. Which, let's be honest, it's boring to watch. It's a little bit annoying. There's not a lot of great ways to defend it because and then you talk about player safety and all that and head contact, and Kelsey's literally said, like, I'm getting murdered every time I run the play. Um, I don't know. Just, I'm not a big rules guy. You know that. I don't love adding new rules, but I don't think there's a place in the game for the way they run it. I'm not saying eliminate the sneak, but just the way they run it specifically probably needs to go.
I mean, they got some rugby people on their offensive line, and they taught them how to do a quarterback sneak basically with it. Because the
Yeah.
biggest issue I see, the reason why I say it can't be outlawed is because not everyone is successful running it. So not everyone runs it that well.
Not everybody tries to run it that way. I mean, Josh Allen's probably the closest guy, but he always goes, was it left? He always goes the same
Yeah,
direction.
he always goes left. He always goes to
Yeah.
his left. But
But
not many. The other flip side of it is not many teams have a quarterback that can squat 600 pounds.
this is true. Yeah.
So he can
Yeah.
just push his way through.
To me, it's not about Jalen's leg strength really as much as it is the design of how they all get in there and are aiding the runner. I mean, it's a little, I don't know. It seems probably a little dangerous. I wouldn't want my quarterback doing that.
No, I wouldn't either. But it could be how Jalen Hurts possibly got injured this year a little bit too.
Yep. So
I mean, it
we'll
possibly
see.
could be.
What do they have as far as pending free agents, man?
They got quite a bit. Like I said, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, um, Mariota, nobody cares about. DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, one of their other running backs, linebacker Justin Evans, Shaquille Leonard at linebacker, who they just picked up this offseason.
He'll
Trying to see
retire. He's done.
what other big name free agents they got. That's about the end of it as far as big names go.
They
As
have
far as unrestricted free
32.4
agents,
million in cap space, so they're not broke by any means.
nope.
My feeling is right now that Kelsey will be back.
You think so? You think he's gonna do one more year?
It's been too long, man. He would have said something by now. He's coming back.
We'll see. We'll see.
That fool loves the game, dude. He's gonna play until he can't play anymore, or his wife makes him stop.
The Eagles definitely need to revamp their whole secondary. That's going to be their biggest issue for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They got Fangio as a new defensive coordinator, so that could be interesting for them. to see how that shapes out for him with Vic Fangio back there, great defensive coordinator. So see what happens there.
Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. I love to see it because now we can now always beat the Eagles because Andy Reid has Fangio's number. But Fangio, as far as facing everybody else, is a fantastic defensive coordinator. I don't understand why he bounces around so much.
I think he's toward the end of his career now. The truth is, he wanted to be in Philadelphia last year before he
Mm,
went to Miami, and something because the Eagles went to the Super Bowl that kind of held up the deal, or because
yeah.
the defensive coordinator didn't announce till the very last moment he was going to Arizona. Philly didn't
Mm.
know they were going to need somebody, um, but he wanted to go to Philadelphia last year. Was supposed to be the plan.
They didn't
So
like him in Miami, but it's like, dude, like half your defense was injured.
yep.
What do you want?
So he'll make some adjustments for him. He'll be a plus. He won't be a negative for him. He'll be a plus for that defense. I think
Yep,
got a great defensive mind
yep,
over there for him. So
for sure.
that'll be a definite plus for them.
Agreed. What do you feel about
All right.
Hassan Reddick since you brought him up?
I hope he leaves. Hope he goes somewhere to the AFC. Hope the Eagles only get a 7th round draft pick for him. I doubt that's going to happen, but that's my hope.
You feel that strongly about him? You like him that much as far as a player?
The guy, he makes timely sacks. Like he doesn't have a whole bunch of sacks, but he makes timely sacks. And those are the
Yeah,
type of things I look at. He makes very
yeah.
timely sacks. Um, so do
They,
I think he's a game changing player? Yes, because when he makes sacks, they mean something in the game. They affect the game.
mm, yeah. I definitely liked him coming out when he was in his draft class or whatever for a super athletic guy. I think he's a little bit wasted putting him on the edge all the time, but that's kind of where he's made his niche in the NFL. He's really a linebacker, but
Yeah,
whatever,
and the
man.
Eagles will drop him into coverage on occasion, but when it's time to make a play, he seems to be right there, ready to make a play, and that's the type of respect I have for Hassan Reddick. He's doesn't make them all the time, but he makes plays when the plays need to be made, and that's why I want him gone. I'd be happy if that guy was gone.
He was definitely one of my guys coming out, man. He just took a little while to bloom, I guess. So I'm happy for him. I always like, you know, now this year that we're doing this podcast, we'll have some historical records on who my guys are in this draft, and hopefully, when we look back, 5, 6 years from now, see
Yep.
some dudes.
Anything else? You got any other thoughts on the Eagles?
Nope.
All right, final team that we got, of course, is going to be my Dallas Cowboys. That's who we got last. Um,
That was
I've made
just,
comments
of
to you
course, by
guys that nothing.
chance.
What's that?
It was completely by chance that the Cowboys were saved for last.
I have told you that there is pretty much nothing that this team can do in the offseason to get me excited, except for one move. There is one move they can do that would get me excited, and that is to go get Saquon Barkley. Other than that, any move they make, I'll see is just Jerry not going all in my
How do
opinion.
you even make that happen though with -3 million in cap room? How do you get to a point where you can even who are your free agents? Let's talk about that.
Dallas Cowboy free agents. Javon Curse at safety. Let me get to the full list really fast. Tony Pollard at running back, of course, is going to be a free agent. Now, the way Dallas can do it, let's see, Tony Pollard, Stephon Gilmore at cornerback, Tyron Smith is a free agent, an underrated defensive end who's going to probably go to Washington, Dorrance Armstrong, he's a free agent for the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, Javon Curse, Jordan Lewis, who ended up being the slot corner because of injury this year, Dante Fowler, who will follow Dan Quinn, pretty sure on that. Neville Gallimore at defensive tackle. Jonathan Hankins, who was our big run stopper. Without him, the Cowboys' run defense was horrid, so he's a free agent. So a lot of room for Dallas to make up. Everyone else that's listed is not worried about as far as free agents. But those are the big free agents that Dallas has. All those players played quality minutes for the Dallas Cowboys.
So, um, your as far as your cap situation goes, I know you've talked about Demarcus Lawrence. If you move him post June 1, that saves you $10 million, which kind of fixes your cap situation. But that doesn't. That just gets you right with the cap, plus makes you able to sign your draft class. That's all that does for you.
Yes, it does.
Who else is kind of on the block for trades or cuts? Who could we see not wearing the star next year?
Well, like I said, Leighton Vander Esch, you're probably going to designate him to retirement. I don't know how that affects the cap overall. I think you get to kind of push his salary out a little bit more on that. Now, what sucks, and I hate to say this, the easiest way for the Cowboys to create space is to extend Dak Prescott.
Yikes.
They extend Dak, you probably create about $40 million in cap space.
You guys have like nobody under contract. What is this?
That's why that's why I remember when I said Jerry said he was all in, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to go get all these people." To me, like I said, all in meant this is the squad I got. This is my hand. I'm going all in with this hand.
Yikes.
And then if this hand doesn't win, it's a complete rebuild next year.
So, I mean, what about Brian Anger? You can save some money there and go
Yep,
cheaper.
I expect him to get cut.
Okay.
The punter, they'll just go cheaper with that.
And Vander Esch only saves you like maybe $2 million. You know, a little less than that. He's not got a big contract. I don't know. What about Cooper Rush? Is that a guy you can move on from and go cheaper with a younger guy? Or
well, they got Trey Lance. I think that's a possibility that they might do. Is let Cooper Rush go.
Yeah, that saves $2 million there by cutting him.
They can save money actually by extending CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
They can actually save some money on the cap by extending him, giving him an extension. I'm trying to remember exactly how there's ways the Cowboys can create other space as well by extending a couple other players.
What about Donovan Wilson?
I love Donovan Wilson, man. They just re-signed him last year.
I mean, can they restructure
him? They could restructure him, yes. I'd give him a restructured deal to create some cap space. I love Donovan Wilson personally. I think he's a great safety, especially down in the box. He's not a great cover guy, but he's a down in the box safety. He's someone I think they could restructure Malik Hooker if they wanted to.
I just did a quick restructure on Donovan Wilson there, and was able to save like $3 million without even putting any thought into it. So there's moves that you guys can make to go ahead and get yourself that room that you need. But can you afford to go get a Saquon Barkley is the question.
I always believe you can do whatever you want to do under the cap because I don't really believe in the salary cap.
Oh, it's not real. It's not real at all.
So if they want to, they can go get them. If they want to, they can do it.
With just the moves I just made, you're still only at like $7.5 million in cap room. It's not ideal.
So they can restructure Zach Martin at offensive line. Trayvon Diggs can get restructured. The restructured basically saves them. So Zach Martin saves them 12.5. Trayvon Diggs can save them 8. They could cut Michael Gallup or restructure Michael Gallup if they want to.
Gotcha.
For that deal. I'm just looking at a few. Terrence Steele is another one that could save him $5 million. Brandon Cooks could save him $5 million on a restructure. So there's ways they could do it. They could actually technically, instead of cutting DeMarcus Lawrence, they could actually restructure DeMarcus Lawrence and extend him out and save some more cap space that way.
Yeah, I just got him at $20 million cap space on over the cap fairly easily. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, the cap isn't real. We know that.
Yeah. So with those mentions, and I didn't include Dak in it, if they restructure Dak, it saves them 21. So mentioning those players, they can get $64 million just by restructuring those players that I mentioned. You get $64 million in cap space.
Woo!
Yeah. The big question is, do you restructure Dak or do you let this play out with Dak? I mean, that's really the big question.
I wouldn't extend him or restructure him at all.
That's how I feel with it too, man. I'm honestly the same way with it. Um, I let him play it. Now, do
Now
you risk if
I'm not as negative on him as you are, but I do think it's like, okay, Dak, let's go prove something, man. If you're gonna get paid again,
exactly?
yeah,
And the thing that's crazy about it is if he takes you where you want him to go, you're gonna have to pay him the money. You got no choice at that point. But I mean, but that gets you where you wanted to get to. So
I
it's
think
kind
you're
of a
probably okay with that, right?
yeah, be okay with it at that point. Or
So,
heck, got you to where you wanted to get you to, let him walk and rebuild. You're like, thank you, Dak. Go get your money somewhere else.
are you a complete asshole like tag and trade him at that point?
I'm down for whatever, to be perfectly honest. It's like I said with this team, man. I don't. There's not much they can do. Say everyone's saying the Cowboys should bring in Derrick Henry. I'm not a Derrick Henry fan. It's just me. I think he's the softest 250-pound back I've seen in the league.
I don't even think that's a good fit with the offense.
I don't either.
Um, yeah, I don't see that one, man. I
Yeah,
think Derek might have a hard time finding a place to land. To be honest.
he'll. Yeah, I could see him being one of those free agents that don't sign until right before camp starts. I
Yep,
don't see him getting anywhere easy
I
or
don't either.
anything.
I don't either, man.
Did Did you know Michael Parsons only makes $5 million next year?
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy to me, man.
He's not on his. That next year is his fifth year option year.
Yep.
It'll shoot up to
I
like
mean,
18 million or something like that.
no, he has 2 years still.
Oh,
Gallup's
no
next
kidding.
year's yeah, Gallup's is his 5th year option next year. They can extend Michael Parsons next year for the first time. They have the chance to extend him.
So where are you guys sitting in the draft?
Cowboys are 27th, 28th in the draft, somewhere around there.
24th. 24th.
24th, yep.
I just looked it up. So 24th in the draft. What are you guys kind of thinking like you might get? Because that's sitting down there with a couple of the tackles might be there for you, like a
Yep.
J.C. Latham out of Alabama or a Fautanu out of Washington or Graham Barton out of Duke. Those are all tackles.
Yep.
Probably
And
all sitting
if I'm
there
the
for you.
Cowboys, I'm going tackle or guard in this
Okay.
draft.
Okay.
If the top guard is still on the board and you believe the guard is that good, I'm probably taking him and I'm kicking Tyler Smith back out to tackle. That's if you're like, I love Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith is my dog. I've loved that dude since he's been a Dallas Cowboy.
For sure.
But, um, gosh, man, I don't want him to go. But wherever he went, I will probably root for him as long as it's not an NFC East division rival. I'd
So
probably
this
root for that
is
guy.
this is not a super strong draft for interior offensive line. Um, probably the first guard that you see go, he may get pushed up the draft board just because somebody needs a guard, but he's like a second round guy.
Second round grade. I think that's what I saw as well.
Yeah. A guy that I would tell you to keep an eye on since you want a guard, and he's going to go way later than he should, is Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. I'm a little biased because I'm a K State fan, but I have watched his whole career, and the dude is a stud. And K State, I don't know if you know this or not, but they have a really good history of producing NFL guards. Well, a lot of our guards go and play just solid for the next 10, 12 years. So that's a dude that I would keep an eye on, and you can get him pretty late, fourth, fifth round, something like that.
No, I'm hoping that I don't know, man. I've already said there's not much the Cowboys can do that's going to excite me this offseason. There's just not. It's I hate to say it that way as a fan.
So what do you do at running back though? If you let Pollard walk, which I'm not a Pollard fan, I don't like him, never have. Do you draft a guy? If so, like who are you looking at? Kind of seems
um,
like you guys aren't really liking my boy Deuce.
I like the
So
guy out of Texas that's coming off the injury.
Brooks,
Yes, I'm liking
yeah,
Brooks.
he's a second round guy.
Yep, I'm liking him. I don't know if he'd be around by the Cowboys' second round pick.
Yeah,
If I'm Dallas and I can trade back and possibly get an extra second round pick, That's early in the draft. Maybe I can do that if I'm Dallas. Depending on who's on the board at tackle, though. If there's a top-notch tackle that I want, then I'm definitely taking that guy. I'm not trading back.
What about a Blake Corum or a Bucky Irving out of Oregon?
I've heard good stuff about him. Um, I don't know, man. Like I said, there's not too much that's gonna get me excited, man.
I'll give you a name. I'll give you a name, and kind of maybe this is a guy you can start watching a little film on and see what you think, because it's going to be a name that I bring up a lot this off season, and I want to see, because you're a fellow running back or former running back, so I do listen to what you have to say about running backs more than most, because I think guys that have played the position just have a better eye at looking at that position. So watch a guy, Will Shipley, out of Clemson, coming off an injury. He had a knee
I've
injury, I believe,
I've
but
heard good stuff about him.
you know who he reminds me of, and I'm not saying that he will. I'm not saying that he's going to produce at the same level, but I'm just saying he has a similar play style to Christian McCaffrey. He's kind of a guy that can be used in that same light. With he's active in the passing game and kind of plays the same way
Why are you comparing this one to Christian McCaffrey?
because he's white.
I just wanted to see if you'd say it. Just wanted to see if you'd say it.
Yeah, that's a coincidence. Actually, I just really do see that in his game. I actually see that in Bucky Irving as well. I think Bucky Irving's a little smidge faster though.
Now, I've heard good stuff about Will Shipley. Um, if he's around in the second round, I can see Dallas taking a chance on him because that's usually when the Cowboys will take a player that's been injured in college.
Shit, you
Dallas
get
usually.
Will Shipley down in the fourth or fifth, man. That's a
You
bargain.
think he'll you think he'll drop that far?
I do. I do. He's been kind of climbing some of the boards on some of the mock drafts, but I just think with the injury, people are going to be worried, and then the devaluing of the position, people aren't as willing to take risks on running backs because they're everywhere. So I just think Will Shipley will end up slipping. I think he's going to end up on a good team. I wouldn't mind to see him on the Chiefs for sure, because we're going to need to redo our running back room. We got two guys leaving our running back room this year, so he's a guy that I have circled for us. But I could see a Cowboys ended up picking him too. I think he's going to end up on a good football team.
Not most definitely. I hope the Cowboys. I said I just hope the Cowboys do something that'll excite me
Yeah,
for this draft coming up or for this off season coming up. There's not much, man. As a Cowboys fan, there's not much they can do. I hate to say it, but the thing I can tell you is this: when the season starts, I'll be right back there.
I
I'll be
know
right
it.
back.
I know it. And then somebody's going to get hurt, and you're going to be right down to, we're done. We're done. Does it seem like to you, this, I know we've kind of been going for a long time, but maybe we can wrap up on this.
Okay.
Um, does it seem like to you that you've been getting more and more anxious and kind of worked up about watching football? Just a question, because I have.
Since we started doing this, or just overall?
No, just overall, man. Like, I think back to when I was in my 20s and early 30s, and football was a blast. It's not like I really it's not like I'm that much smarter about football. Of course, I've learned things from now to then, but I was a football junkie back then too. So I guess my point is, not my passion for the game hasn't changed. Nothing has really changed all that much. But man, this was a rough season. When we finally ended the season, I was like, I need a break. I need a break. Like, I don't know, man.
I guess from my standpoint of watching, um, and most of my friends could tell you this. My wife could even tell you this. I watch the games differently now since I became a coach, coaching football again.
Yeah.
Um, like the Dallas Cowboys is the only true team. Like I watch a lot of games, but Dallas is the only true team I'm actually a fan of when I'm
Mm.
watching a game where I cheer and do that type of thing. Otherwise, a lot of times when I'm watching games, I'm looking for strategies, what teams are doing, why teams are doing what they're doing, who's at fault for why a play breaks down, learning those type of intricacies a little bit more. So it's kind of a whole different perspective for the way I watch games nowadays. Um, for the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
yes, I can tell you when they before the Packer game started, that was the most nervous I'd been for a football game in quite some time. Was before that Packer game started. I don't know if it's because I put it out there in the universe how much Dallas is going to win by and how much they're going to dominate that game. I don't know. I don't know what it was or
That
why,
was rough. Rough,
but
brother.
that was the first game.
I can
I was the most
honestly
anxious.
say, like, normally I don't feel for people when their team is getting the shit kicked out of them. Like, I just don't care. But, dude, when that started, I was like, damn. Rest in peace, Roberts.
You don't understand how many people reached out to me that day.
I was worried about you, man. It's like, damn. My
I
boy's
got
going
text
through it.
messages from the old Bellevue East coach, Coach Lease. He's a 49ers fan. And he's sitting
Oh,
there
no.
texting me the first quarter saying, "Oh, it's going to be all right. They're going to come back." I was like, "No, it ain't."
Yikes. Yikes.
My
That,
boss called me. My boss called me in the third quarter, man. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What do you think?" "No, I'm not all right,
hell
man.
no, I'm not okay.
No, I'm not okay, man."
Hell no, I'm not okay. Do you see what these fools are doing, man?
Yeah, so and I had people reaching out to me all game long, man, just checking to see if I'm all right and things like that. And it was not a fun day. Oh man, that's all I can say about that.
For sure, for sure. Well, so let's give the people a preview of what's to come. We're gonna try to keep doing these Monday night things, but maybe sneak a couple shorter ones in here and there.
Yep.
And we're gonna be focused on off-season stuff, and probably not talk 2.5 hours straight about football because it is a sports show. Because we got wrestling coming up, WrestleMania.
Yep. Did you happen to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and watch Elimination Chamber?
Hell no, bro. I
I
said I'm
did.
back. I said I'm
Come
back.
on.
I didn't say I was all of a sudden a fanatic, dude.
It was in Australia. I watched it. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it.
What is it? What even happened, man? Let's talk about it.
Oh, no surprises. Main events are set for WrestleMania. I'm gonna have Drew McIntyre versus um, gosh dang it, Seth Rollins. That'll be the SmackDown Championship match.
So,
The
are you disappointed that you woke up at 4 in the morning for no surprises?
Yeah, I was actually. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit shocked
Gotta
by it. I was like,
throw me a bone, right?
yeah, they didn't really do it. The one thing that I did enjoy about it was Rhea Ripley, who's been one of the best wrestlers for about the past 2 years. She got to wrestle in her home country of Australia. She got a big ovation. She was
Nice.
very emotional about the whole situation coming out there. So that was actually kind of fun to watch. But I could have waited to the replay at 7 in the morning. I will say that.
Jeez, dude. 4 in the morning. You're a dedicated fan.
Yep. Like Becky Lynch is going to be fighting Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. That was no surprise. That's who everyone expected for that to
You
have
know,
happened.
you know what the worst existence is if you're a sports fan? Being deployed to the Middle East.
Oh, because of the timing of everything.
That's your existence. You wake up at 4 in the morning all the time, dude. It was like, oh, gotta watch the Chiefs game. Let me get up at 2 in the morning or whatever. Like, then you gotta watch it on AFN, and it's just terrible. Armed Forces Network is what that stands for.
Yep.
Terrible, awful. I don't miss those days.
But yeah, it's WrestleMania is going to happen. I already got my prediction on what's going to happen with the Cody Rhodes match.
So I probably missed it. I was probably sitting over here being in my own thoughts, but Cody Rhodes is wrestling him.
Roman Reigns.
Okay, so no Rock.
The Rock is in. The Rock is supposedly with the Bloodline on Roman Reigns' side.
What?
Yes.
How did
The
that
Rock is.
happen?
It was all at the press conference. Cody came in, said, "No, I won Royal Rumble, so I'm challenging the Rock, or I'm challenging Roman Reigns." He insulted the bloodline lineage, kind of, not really. So The Rock said, "You're talking about his bloodline. You're talking about my bloodline. So now you got an issue with me." So The Rock is supposed to be teaming with Roman Reigns as part of the bloodline against Cody Rhodes. So he's going to be at ringside. So I'm telling you
Hmm.
what's going to happen when you watch WrestleMania because this is my belief is The Rock is going to cost Roman Reigns the title. Cody will win the belt. The Rock and Roman Reigns will start their feud, and then when everybody's celebrating Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest is going to come out, cash in the Money in the Bank, and steal the championship from Cody.
That's not the match everybody wants to see. I'm just gonna tell you.
There's a lot of people that want to see that, but that's what's going to happen. That whole scenario that I just drew out, that's going to happen. I'm just telling you.
I was getting excited, man. I wanted to see The Rock and Reigns. That's what I wanted to see.
The Rock and Reigns is going to be SummerSlam. That's going to be a SummerSlam match.
Is that a little bit of a waste, man? I feel like WrestleMania is the event.
It's the event, but I think they got so much um, feedback on the fact that a lot of fans don't want to. It's split about 50-50 between The Rock and Reigns, Rock versus Reigns, Cody versus Reigns. It's split about 50-50 on that scenario, to be perfectly
I guess
honest.
I don't know. I'm excited about it because I haven't been into wrestling for like forever, and The Rock is like my generation of wrestling, and that's the dude. And it was kind of like very fortuitous that he was making a comeback right as I'm trying to make a comeback into watching it and everything like that. So it's like, oh, well, there's one guy I know. I'll watch him and try to catch up on the rest of the crap. So I was, I guess, disappointed to hear that's not the match.
Yeah, he's going to be involved. He's definitely going to be involved. I'll say that. Just not
Yeah,
the
because
way that I think.
he's in camp, right, for like getting in shape and wrestling shape.
Yep, he's supposed to be getting in wrestling shape, doing all those type of things. Um, and maybe I'm wrong on it, but it's not going to be Rock versus Reigns unless something happens that has to change that up or something like that. It's Cody versus Reigns, and The Rock's going to be in Reigns' corner, and he's going to probably turn on Roman. Is my prediction on what's going to happen there.
Mm.
Roman's had the belt for about a good 5-6 years, I want to say, so it's about time for him to.
Oh, that's a long time, dude.
Yeah, it's about time for him to lose that belt.
That's a long, long time.
Yeah, he's had the belt for quite a while.
Now you're in this point, right, where like you've kept him with the belt so long, people are expecting him to lose it.
Yep.
So now it's like, how do you even write the loss where people are even surprised? Now you've almost had him with the belt too long. Because how do you even write that successfully?
See, that's how I think they're going to get The Rock involved into it. And I think they're going to do it up. They're going to make it seem like Cody's going to lose the belt. They're going to do it up. I mean, I trust the writers on this since Triple H has taken over. He's done a really good job of making sure the scripts have been good and things like that. So I trust him on that standpoint. It's I hate to see Cody versus Reigns because for me it's expected that Cody wins the belt, and that's the reason why I didn't want to see that match more than anything else. Because I know Cody's going to win that belt no matter what. They're going to give it to him one way or another.
Here's my out of left field prediction for this. And it's way out of left field because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I am not caught up in any way, shape, or form. I think somehow The Rock ends up with that championship belt for a minute. And I do mean like a minute. It won't be long. But
Nah,
that's the only way
I
you
think
surprise people. That's the only way you surprise people. Nobody's expecting that.
I think Cody only has it for a minute. So I don't know if you know the whole storyline of Cody, and I'll just give you a quick synopsis of why Cody wants this one belt, and it's because his dad never officially won that belt.
Mm.
His dad Dusty Rhodes, his dad Dusty held the belt up like he was the champion. WWE stripped him of the belt and said the match wasn't over, and then his dad never won the belt. Is what
So they're
happened.
gonna do that to him?
So that's what I think is going to happen. Is he's going to win the belt over Roman. Damian Priest is going to run down and cash in his Money of the Bank briefcase, which gives him a title shot at any moment he wants it, and he's going to steal the belt at the end of WrestleMania. That's
All
my
right, that's
prediction.
pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I got to give it to you on
that's
that one.
that's my prediction on what's going to happen because it ties in and rounds out that whole storyline, and then you gives Cody someone to go after WrestleMania, and then you send The Rock and Roman Reigns off to do their feud and everything.
Yikes. All right, well, last couple minutes, you want to say anything about All-Star basketball, NBA?
Oh, just NBA All Star Game, All Star Weekend. I guess the biggest thing that I realized with that is it's not for the target audience. Is not us, I should say. It's targeted for little kids and the younger folks. I did not enjoy it. It's not competitive anymore. I don't mind seeing great players do great things. I actually enjoy watching them do it more when someone's trying to stop them, though. Is my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is what I like to see. And to me, that's actually greater. If I got to watch LeBron go up against Kevin Durant and they're actually playing hard defense against each other, I want to see that. I don't care about just Durant playing Olay defense and letting somebody just go in for a dunk or anything like that.
I hate it.
Yep.
I hate it. They got to do something, man. Like I haven't seen the ratings numbers. I didn't spend a lot of time watching it. I watched bits and pieces. You got to do something, man. Like they've ruined the Pro Bowl, they've ruined the All-Star games. Like is it necessary to be soft at everything?
It's with as much money as they make now and how important championships are. That's just kind of where it's at now. It's
So
it
tie it
sucks.
in is my thing. Like tie it in somehow. You've got this stupid in-season tournament, which by the way, my team was the champions of the in-season tournament.
They hung a banner. They hung a banner
Who?
for
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
it.
So dumb. In-season. What does it even mean? Like nobody can even explain to me what the in-season tournament even is for.
It's their answer to kind of what soccer does for their in season tournaments. That's all it is. They're just trying to create some extra buzz, and it's
Why is
another
the
thing that
NBA
they can
so
sell off
obsessed with everything soccer does?
because it's another thing they can sell off to a network and make more revenue. That's what they're looking for.
They're losing revenue because people are not watching.
Yeah, people are watching more than you think, man.
I don't know. I don't feel like basketball is as popular as it used to be. Maybe that's a
It
discussion
might,
for a future show.
yeah, it might be losing some traction in the U.S. possibility, but worldwide, it's second most popular sport in the world, probably across the globe.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my comments to myself because a lot of that's China. We won't go down that road.
All
But
right.
yeah, man, that's a terrible idea. I wish they would. I just think fine, grow the sport. The NFL's growing the sport, but that doesn't mean you gotta go away from your base in the USA.
No, I don't
You know,
disagree with that.
so well, it's a good talk, man. This is our longest
Yeah, it was.
episode ever.
Yeah, it was.
We still
We'll have
got
to try to break
somebody.
this down, some shorter videos,
Yes,
clips, and stuff like that.
I always say I'm gonna do it, and I just got so much stuff going on, man. I try to do too much. Try to do too much. I love doing
Oh,
this. I'm gonna try to get in here, and I need to teach you how to do shorts as well, so you can help and take some of the stuff off of me too.
yeah, most
Um,
definitely. I would love to get into that, but I
yeah.
meant to tell you, I hate your Chiefs. I hate your Chiefs. I'm going to tell you
Well,
why I hate your Chiefs.
why is that?
People that know me know I work at Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay, I work at Buffalo Wild Wings, and because the Chiefs blocked an extra point, and because the Chiefs couldn't win the game at the end of regulation, I had to do 6 free wings today for all these people coming in from the time of 2 or 5 o'clock today. It was not a fun day at work.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, I hate your Chiefs.
Yeah,
I hate them.
baby. Yeah, dang, I should have came in and got some free wings, bro.
You've been
Yeah.
waiting like everybody else was, man.
I know. I avoid all of those kind of things. Like on even Veterans Day when everybody's giving free food away to veterans, like I stay home. I have no interest. Like it's great. It's awesome that they do it. I'm appreciative of it. I'm not. I don't want to sound unappreciative. I just don't want to mess with the crowds and the waiting, and it's not fun for me. I don't like crowds. So
Oh, nah, I get it. I
yeah,
wish other people felt that way sometimes. Yeah,
yeah, it
it
would be
was.
better, right?
We had a
Well, hey
line out
man,
the door.
it's 11 o'clock. We got football in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, we do. We got to wake up in about 5 hours. Crazy.
All right, dude. Well, see you in the
All right,
morning.
man. Yep.
Good talk.
Hey, good thoughts, good words, good deeds to everybody. Take care of
Yep.
each other.
Go do something for somebody.